it's good to stay alive, right? You don't want to die. So in the case of Colorado, you can fart and start a forest fire. So I roll over, I look like a walrus trying to hump off a rock. And I'm not exactly a set of car keys. I'm a pretty big dude. Because that thing leaked like the Iraqi Navy.
I think you got to be around those things. First of all, they're so big.
Yeah.
Like it's a horse with a tree grown out of its head, and it's screaming like an animal from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem real.
Hey, this is Corey Jacobson, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
We born and raised outdoors, and you've been listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
There you go.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Jordan.
And you're watching
The Gritty Bowmen.
On this episode of Gritty Bowmen, we hang with the Hushin boys in our hotel room after midnight at the Total Archery Challenge in Utah. Hush is a group of guys who share their hunting and fishing adventures on their YouTube channel, Hushin. On this podcast, you meet the guys behind Hushin, Casey Lavere, Eric Chesser, and Brian Mclrea. There is so much to love about these guys, it's no wonder they have the largest digital hunting channel on the web. These guys are genuine to the core. They're super funny, and they never take themselves too seriously. And in a world of judgmental keyboard warriors, the Hush crew is a breath of fresh air, always respectful and open and kind to everyone they meet, slow to judge and unafraid to be themselves. This is a good podcast. You don't want to miss it. After the show, check them out at gethushin.com and at Hushin on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like ordering you hats. Like
I'm down to a stark 149
so
right now.
we need to order some hats for Brian. Eric, have you called Oshkosh? Get him one of those train hats.
It's good that we have different body types. We represent a wide variety of people.
Can we pre-approve this, Brian, before you put it up?
What? What?
Are we on The Office right now? Is this Steve
I
Carell?
feel like I'm in a really mature set of group of guys here.
Are you guys doing a Brando with the perfect bar?
We're working on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got the zoom in.
My brand deal is, can I just get them for free?
Yeah. My wife buys these at Costco. The peanut butter ones are great.
No, mount that stuff up.
They're paleo.
Yeah.
In my head, they're paleo.
There was no peanut butter in the caveman years.
Dude, look.
Granola bars
Here's the deal. I can guarantee you that if they had them, the cavemen would have eaten them.
Well, if they had Big Macs,
Therefore,
they would have eaten them.
That's
There's
right.
no doubt about it. Like,
That's right.
They had chicken nuggets like potatoes.
I eat sweet potatoes. There's a technical difference that's major.
Yeah, sweet potatoes suck. Baked potatoes are the
Dude,
greatest thing
sweet
I've ever
potatoes are awesome.
Sweet potatoes are way better, man.
Yeah, totally.
You eat those for a while and you go back to a baked potato and you're like, I'm eating chalk.
Yeah. Dude,
You guys
I'll
are
tell
not
you.
from Idaho.
Do you know what a baked potato is good for?
Eating?
Covering in butter. I mean, it's just a vehicle
No,
for butter.
butter, sour
Butter
cream,
and
bacon.
salt.
Like,
And bacon.
woo.
Yeah. You guys eat completely different.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, can you tell?
No.
What was
Why,
your first
Oh, yeah.
besides me explaining that to you, what was your first sign?
Well, you're looking trim lately.
Dude, no. Zach told me that today. I'm like, shut up. I'm going to punch you. I'm going into this season heavier than I've ever been. But
Really?
it's all about FOC, right? If you
Your
want
brother looks fit.
he's a puss. No, he does. But
He's looking good.
I always compare it to people in the archery industry, what's we talk about with arrows, forward, FOC, right? Fog.
Yeah.
That's me, dude.
FOC.
If you want your arrow getting down range
down the hill
fast,
faster,
why wouldn't you want some forward weight on your body? I'm gonna run down that trail.
makes sense.
But if you go up a trail, it's not.
That logic is legit.
Doesn't work for uphill.
That is baked potato logic right
Baked
there.
potato.
Casey wants to be a downhill hunter, but how do you get up there? How do you get to the top first?
Hire a helicopter.
Just hunt down.
Danny's a pilot.
That's why this archery shoot right now is so perfect. Just ride the tram up.
Walk
down.
Walk down.
Dude, go shoot the local range. Ask Casey. It's bull.
You guys,
Because you have to walk uphill. And at the last 400 yards, you get to walk down here. I worked my ass off to do this for 400 yards. You ride the tram up, you walk 6 miles downhill.
So you guys shot today?
Yep.
Are we rolling?
We're kind of rolling,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Why don't we do an introduction here?
Sure.
All right, folks. Welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. We're here with the Hush crew.
Hush.
Is that what we call you?
Yeah, Sure.
That's
Hush
right.
Crew, Hush Life, Hush
Yep.
Hushin.
Hushin.
Hush.
We go by many different names.
Yeah. You guys, is that mic close enough, you think? Talk to me.
There you go.
I'll get it in there.
Dude,
like,
I'm not having any trouble
There
hearing
you
him,
go.
are you?
No, it's good.
I always talk louder than the sample I give you.
Yeah.
'Cause I get excited about baked potatoes and stuff.
Well, I'm here with Casey Lavere, Eric Chesser from Hush, and Brian.
Just go B-Mac. B-Mac.
B-Mac?
Yeah. That's easy.
He's known as B-Mac.
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 Brian
Yeah.
McLrea. Try to spell that. You'll never succeed.
B-Mac.
You know how many
Systematic.
times I have to, if I'm posting something, I have to go look at Instagram and, how do you spell this? What's the origin of that?
I think it's
Irish,
blend of
Scottish.
Irish. Yeah. Something. I'm a hodgepodge.
Nice.
Hodgepodge.
Yeah. It's not very pronounceable. So B-Mac and several other nicknames have stuck for many years.
So I got a bunch of questions for you guys. We're hanging out at the Total Archery Challenge, and you guys did the course today.
Yep.
I think I heard you say your feet were kind of sore.
Well, my feet are sore because I shot 2 rounds. So, what do you think? 7 miles, 8 miles? And my feet are just not trained for that right now.
7 miles?
Which is sad.
8 miles? That's pretty rough. In those
No.
boots?
Crispies.
Nice.
Which are,
And how do you like
can I
those
plug 'em?
Crispies? Yeah, go for it.
dude, I shouldn't say this, but
Anything prefaced with shouldn't say this always makes the hair on my neck stand up.
and it catches people's ears. But I bought a pair of other boots, expensive boots, years ago. I won't say their name.
Yeah.
It took 2 years, at least 2 years, to get to the point of where those crispy Nevadas were. I basically took out of the box today.
Yeah.
It took 2 years to break them into where my Crispies felt today.
Yeah.
It was insane.
So I got the Crispies a few months back now, and I have the Summits and the Nevadas.
Yeah.
I love them.
Oh, yeah.
I love them. And I'm kind of, people who've listened to the podcast and followed, kind of a boot snob, and I like some flexibility in my boot. I don't like it too stiff, and then some boots aren't stiff enough, especially when I'm carrying a load. And
Yeah.
dude, these things are like magic. They
They
really
are,
are.
right?
I love them. And my buddies who are boot snobs and boot kind of aficionados, those guys, they've chucked all their other boots, and they're in
I
love with
agree,
them.
man. I put them on. Brian gave them to me one day. I went and put them on at the house and walked around with the kids, and I was just like, dude, these boots are more comfortable than that $500 pair I bought after 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you finding the same thing?
Yep, same thing. I got a brand new pair this year, and I've always bought, I'd say, mediocre boots. You
Yeah.
know, ones that
At-
you kind
at
of get
best.
by
At best, dude.
last year.
Eric buys
maybe.
Walmart boots when we're in New
I
Mexico.
have bought Walmart
Wolverines.
boots. There's been multiple times I've left on a hunting trip, and I forgot my boots, so I go to the local Walmart and just get the $20,
And he's
$30
like,
pair.
oh, they have camo on them? Yeah, they're hunting boots.
Let's get them. Oh yeah, I'm so bad about forgetting boots, but yeah, I just got a brand new pair out of the box, straight up, steep country, never a sore spot, never a hot spot, no issues.
But here's the thing about Total Archery Challenge, if you guys have never shot it or been up here, is
We're at
it's not-
Snowbird,
Snowbird, yeah. It's not like
Utah.
a legit, it's not like I've shot a lot of 3D courses over the years. I started shooting archery when I was 8 years old, and me and my dad would go and shoot archery courses, 3D, shoots all over the state of Idaho when I was a kid. This is something that's very different. This is steep. This is a rugged 3D shoot.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. I
It's-
thought I saw a rappel
When
rope
they have a
up there.
repellent
There
rope,
was.
there
Yeah.
was.
Oh, yeah.
You got to hook in and climb off a cliff.
Yeah.
Is
it's
it
bad.
4 miles? Is that
I heard it takes 4 hours to walk it. And
I
shoot
would
it.
say for at least 4 miles.
4
Maybe.
hours is a minimum.
Yeah.
When you start throwing extra people, we were up there for
especially for people who can't hit the target and you're looking for arrows a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you spend. But when even if you were just to ride the lift up, so you go from, I don't know where the base elevation is. But
10,381.
Hold on, let me tell you.
let Brian look at his
Really?
watch.
I'm looking at my watch right now. It's 7,900 feet of elevation right as we sit in our hotel room.
And we're probably what?
Dude, it's straight up.
It's 10,000 at the top.
It's
Yeah,
over
10,000 plus.
10,500 feet. And you're walking straight down that thing.
Dude, tell me about it. I'm from Oregon, sea
Yep.
level, pretty much. Since we got here, the second we drove up, we got out. as we came up the hill, I get out of the truck and I start to unload some stuff, and I'm like, I can't get any air. It's I'm not used to this, man. I roll into Salt Lake and I'm having trouble breathing.
That's crazy. Like, we grew up, me and Eric grew up in Utah. I grew up in Idaho, so like we're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Brian grew up in Oregon.
I'm an Oregonian too. But I've got 2 years
that's
to
a
adapt.
legitimate thing. Like,
Yeah,
I lived
absolutely.
in LA for 4 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
At like maybe 20 feet, right? But we'd come home every summer. We kept our house here in Utah. We'd come home every summer, and in the summer it's like, all right, Casey, you've been fat for 8 months. Now it's time to get in shape because you're going to hunt. So I'd start running on the track at, and Tremont's probably 5,000 feet,
Yeah.
And like I would run. We'd be home for like probably a month and a half, 2 months. And I would run every day, like, because I was like, I got to get in shape. And I would run on the track at the high school, and I'd run like 2 to 3 miles. And like when I would run the 3 miles was like pushing it. I was like, ugh. The day we'd go home to LA, I was always so excited because I would get out and run like 7 or 8 miles, no problem.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate thing. Like,
We lived in Denver for like 6 years, and living in the Mile High City, and then going back to Oregon. I was I stomped it,
Made it easy?
Oh, yeah, it made a big
That's
difference.
so crazy.
yeah.
On the crispy thing, I've been friends with Kendall for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, hey, we're going to, running these boots, do you want to try them out? And I was like, not really, man. I mean, I'm kind of picky about my boots, and he's like, no, seriously, like, try them out. And I'm like, I'll try them out. Sure. And so he's texting me, he's like, what size are you? And I'm like, no, I'm this size, and I take my time. And anyway, he sends them to me, and then next thing I know, I'm like, these are awesome, and I'm sharing them with people and telling people about them. And
They're a great boot. I bought a pair probably 4 years ago. The biggest difference now is who's running the distribution for U.S., which is Kendall, as you mentioned. And their level of customer service is so much better than
because they've had a black eye.
It's been
Definitely.
The boot is an Italian boot company that's makes a phenomenal boot, but the brand just has had a bad black eye, like you mentioned, in the U.S. for a lot of years. So there's several guys that I've heard of, worn them, and they just never got any kind of customer service response. So that's all changing, and the boots kind of speak for themselves. I think everybody that wears them has been pretty happy.
Well, it
with
was
them.
cool when I put them out on Facebook and said, yeah, I got these boots, da-da-da-da. Some guys I really respect got on there and said, you'll never go back. Been using these for a couple of years. I love them. They're the best. And so I was like, oh, dude, I never had heard of them.
Yeah.
And these guys that, are real serious mountain dudes, they're like, yeah, dude, where you been? These are good. Yeah.
Where you been?
No, I agree with that. Like, there was like, just like everything in the hunting industry, like, I don't know how long ago, but it was like really like a lot of technical stuff like got really important to a lot of people like 5-6 years ago. I think like boots is one of them. Like, that's when like Zamberlin, like Crispy, like, and maybe they were around before, but I don't feel like they had like that big of a face. In
I don't think there was
Western.
as much backcountry hunting and like get out of your truck kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, there were always guys who did it, but it wasn't as I guess there just wasn't this number of guys.
Wasn't as marketed as it is now. I think.
Yeah,
but
like
yeah,
I go in the
like,
backcountry now, and there'll be more guys back there than on the road.
Yeah,
sometimes
it's like the sway of like the hunting world. Like, it's going to like more like, like not more like, but more people are getting into like, like being like mountain athletes, I call them.
Yeah.
Doing like the hunting, like we've always enjoyed doing the backcountry stuff, but like the technology also like kept up with that, like,
yeah.
And like boots was a thing, like like I was saying, there was all these brands that just like blew up, like, or like made the big like presence then. And it was like you couldn't keep up with them all, right? But now, like, you can look back and be like, okay, so there's these all these that like have withstanded that like initial push. Now, what do I want to use, dude? There is no doubt in my mind. I've tried them all. Like Crispy, like I put those boots on for the first day, and I'm like, finally, like the company figures this out. And going back to what Brian was saying, the people that are running the U.S. distribution now is so much better than it was before. Like, we work with a lot of brands. I always like to say, like, we work with the brands that we enjoy working with. That's why we work with them.
Right.
The product is super important. Like, you have to believe in the product, but at the same time, like, you have to believe in the people behind that.
Well, that's why Kendall's a good friend. that's why I didn't want to try the boots, because I was going to be like, sorry, I can't rep these, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because they're not good enough for us to rep, and I have this trust with my listeners, and I don't want to get behind something that I'm not really confident about. I didn't want to have to let him down.
Yeah.
So then, I was reluctant, but he was kind of pushy, and sorry, Kendall. And then in a nice, polite way.
Good sales.
But now looking back, you're like, thanks, Kendall, for
Totally.
doing that.
And then he sends it to me, I put them on, and I'm like, I'm skeptic. I'm a colossal skeptic. Like,
Yeah.
first time I had Casey and Jordan on, I'm like, I think your stuff might be crap. Let's
Does your stuff work?
Are
or
you
not?
sure? Really? And lots of questions. Is this snake oil kind of stuff? So that's where with Kendall, I was skeptical, and then I got him and I wore him, and I've been using them. I ran that race in Enumclaw with Train to Hunt with the 100-pound pack for 1.6 miles. Ran them in the summits.
Really?
And they was awesome.
So
They were just the right mix of being able to run and be comfortable. Now, when I ran the second time, I ran in like running shoes with an 80-pound load. It's a little lighter, and so I tried it with shoes rather than boots. One thing that happens when you're wearing boots is they're not for running. They're for hiking. Boots, you don't run in boots, so you lose some ankle mobility and stuff, which is what you want when you're trying to hike down a hill.
Yeah, heavy loads.
So anyway, loved them. They're a great boot, so I'm kind of excited about that. So now I proudly say I use Crispy.
This Gritty Bowmen podcast is brought to you by Crispy Boots. Thanks, Kendall.
That's right. So of you two, like, what's the story on Hush? Like, there are there's a whole ton of people who love you, know you, follow you. What about some people who haven't really, they live under a rock, they don't really know that much about you? Where did Hush come from?
I want Eric to explain where Hush comes from because he probably knows it just as well as I do. But I want to say the way that me and Eric met, which is super important to how this thing took off, is I started doing YouTube full time just over 5 years ago, and it wasn't hunting or fishing. It was just me and my family hanging out, and they call it vlogging.
Yeah, right.
So like video log diary of your everyday life. And my brother was like one of the originals of YouTube. He started doing it 8 years ago. He's done it full time for 7 years.
He was just on the Tim Ferriss podcast.
Yep. He's done really well. But he convinced me I was working at a steel mill 5 years ago, hating life. I made a grundle of money. My wife was cutting hair full time, making great money. Like, we were doing good, but we didn't enjoy our lives.
Yeah.
And we'd watch
working
Shane.
a lot.
Yeah, I'd work 4 12s and then have 4 days off, and then go back on 4 12s.
2 weeks vacation a year.
Yeah, regular corporate America. Yeah, and but at the same time, that's all I ever wanted out of life. I knew that I never wanted to go to college. I'm not saying don't go to college, but I was just I knew at a young age I was good at working hard and impressing people. So I was always if I could just get in the right situation where I could work hard and work myself up and make, money. Back then it was all about, I got to make this much money and we'll be good. We were doing great, but we weren't happy because we were gone all the time anyways. So my brother, and we'd watch my brother and his wife and his family, start doing YouTube videos. And I was
right.
Yeah, you guys have a really good lifestyle.
Yeah.
You go to California and you're working, you go to wherever, you go on family vacations, you're always working. Anyways, he was like, you should do this. Every time you're on a vlog, people love you, they think you're funny, which I am. I'm super funny.
Right, totally.
It's
absolutely a charm. I'm sucked into your charisma.
Yeah, without it. Your audience is dude, who is this guy? No. But, so he's like, you should start doing this. And I was like, no, it's not me. And it wasn't me. I was super shy as a kid. I never talked until I was 16. My brother would have to talk to me. If you go back and watch original home videos, my brother was vlogging when he was 8 with those giant VHS.
Right, he's born to do this.
We have videos of him turning the camera on himself, because that's what a vlog is, this very personal thing, you with the camera. And he was recording himself during Christmas, and my mom would be like, Shay, you better not be recording yourself. Anyway, so I was never that guy. And then he was just he was getting ready to move back to LA, because that's kind of Hollywood hotspot of LA or YouTube back then. It still kind of is.
Yeah.
So he had started a company with some other YouTubers, Maker Studios, and they were getting ready to move back. And so right before they left, he's like, let's go up to this spot we used to go camping at, Island Park, Idaho. Rent a cabin, hang out for the weekend before we leave. I'm like, great. While we were up there, he's like, gave me the camera one day. He's like, dude, you should try vlogging. So I vlogged, and I didn't think much about it.
It's kind of intimidating, I think. A lot of people, I've encouraged a lot of people, get out, film yourself, film your hunts, share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your community, so they can see what hunting is really like and what that you're a normal guy, that you have values and things that matter to you. And
like vlogging has really changed like the entertainment industry, because it's like reality TV basically.
Yeah.
Like people want to feel like they're part of like what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And vlogging is very much that. Like
creates a really personal connection.
Yeah. So, anyways, I like vlogged for like 3 minutes, and then we got home. And he like uploaded on a channel, and the only reason I had a channel was to comment on his videos. And so he uploaded it, and it's like blew up.
Yeah,
it, like got 100,000 like views in like 5 or 6 days.
Yeah,
I was like, and I got addicted to it. So you go and read the comments, you're like, Casey, you're so funny. Blah, blah, blah. And, it's just like, and you're sitting there like, and I was like,
yeah, I guess I am.
I watched the video and I'm like, this is so stupid. Like who's going to watch it? And then you start reading the comments. It's like, Casey, you're so funny. I'm like, yeah, I am funny. Like, I have a lot to offer, you know? Anyway, so he did that. And long story short, like, dude, literally like 3 weeks later, he convinced my wife basically. Luckily, she saw the future of it. She's like, we should do this. I'm like, no, we got a house, like a mortgage, like
we have real jobs.
I have a 9, like not 9 to 5, like 6 to 6 job. Like, and then I was like, yeah, I hate my job.
Yeah,
you hate your job. Anyway, so we moved down there, and really he pitched me the idea of what if you could have, because I grew up as a giant, I would hunting, fishing, anything in the world. Like my dad still tells people the story, like taking me elk hunting when I was 8 years old for like 10 days. And luckily he did that. Like I had to miss all that school, but I would literally cry like the last day, like, Dad, we can't go home. We didn't kill our elk. Like I loved it for some reason. It was in my blood.
Right.
And so Shay pitched the idea, like, dude, one day you could have a hunting channel on YouTube. I'm like, well, that's not the audience. But anyway, so we started doing YouTube, and then I had the idea, I'm going to do a hunting channel. I didn't even had like started the hunting channel, and Eric like ran a big company here in Salt Lake that did really well. It was a bunch of young kids doing cool stuff in the outdoors, like shed hunting, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just like grew up. They had a big forum back then, and I'd like go and watch it. And I would always be like, dude, young kids doing cool stuff in the outdoors. I want to do that. So I basically just approached Eric at the Salt Lake show, because to me, Eric was the face of the company. I approached Eric and I said, hey, man. And they were making DVDs and stuff back then, like everyone did. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, man, I'm starting to do this YouTube thing full time. Mm-hmm. And I really think it's something that, like, you guys could, like, take advantage of. Like, it's free. You don't have to print DVDs. You just upload videos when you get them. Yeah. Eric's like, dude, like, I love YouTube. I love the internet. Like, he just got it, right?
Right.
So we became ultimate friends. And we'd talk back and forth. He worked for this company, and then he stepped back from the company, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Year and a half
ago.
And Brian, luckily, was the smarter one of the three of us. And we had a meeting one night, like a dinner meeting. I was like, what can me and Eric do together? Like TV show. And he's like, dude, you need to bring Eric onto Hush. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. Anyway, so explain.
Was that a tough decision for you to make, or did you just feel like that's it?
As soon as Brian said it, like I wanted to do something with Eric. I saw the power of Eric. Like I always look at people how they are. Like Eric was a super good person.
Yeah.
And that's the people I've always wanted to work with. So when he presented, because I always thought, like, he doesn't want to do something with Hush, but, like, we could do something different. Like, it could be bigger. And Brian's like, no, you need to do YouTube and bring him on. I was like, yep. It was decided that night.
You know, it's funny, like, a similar thing happened with Aaron Snyder and myself, because I didn't plan on Gritty Bowmen growing as fast as it did, and I certainly didn't. I mean, I didn't even know Aaron. He was the first guest on the podcast. I knew of Aaron. I always liked Aaron, liked his personality. I like how thorough his gear reviews were, his no BS
Great
approach.
photographer, by the way.
Yeah, his photography. So I'm sitting there going, you know, like this guy, excited to meet him. I love Kifaru, big fan of the products and packs and all that. So I meet him and I talk to him and I'm like, hey, let's do this podcast thing. I've never done it before, but you want to do it? And he's like, yeah, sure. So we do a show and post it, and it gets a lot of feedback. And I learned so much in that 1 hour, 2 hour conversation. I'm like, and then I learned a lot in that. I mean, he's just asking millions of questions for the next 2 or 3 hours after the cameras were off. And I'm like, I should have kept those for later when the camera's back on again, you know. But I get to know Aaron, and it didn't take long. And and then all of a sudden, you know, we have just, I'm like, it just makes sense for us to work together.
Yeah, like I think there's like people that are like cross paths. Like we talk about this all the time. Like things just like work out. Like you believe whatever. Like, but things just happen for a reason. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Like people are presented to you, and I feel like if you're a good person and trying to do the right things, like you'll know, like, hey, that guy's a good person, and he's trying to do cool things. Like. There's no doubt about it. Like, we should do cool things together.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys ever have problems getting along or agreeing? I mean, do you guys disagree or fight or just be
It's funny,
what's your
like-
problem? Or
You can talk to my wife about this. Like, I love people. I love being around good people. But, like, I'm an introvert, really. Like,
Yeah.
going back to when I was young, like, I'm really an introvert. And so, like, I do stuff with a lot of different people, and we'll do stuff for a while, and then it's like, that guy annoys me. Like, he does this, that. You know, we've had our
Right.
challenges, but it's never been like, we just know, like, our ultimate goal is to create cool stuff.
you just click.
Yeah, we do. We really do, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, we lived, you know, in a jumping jack tent trailer in New Mexico together for 2 weeks straight, and he's like, "You're like the only person I've ever hung out with that I don't want to kill after hanging out with like 2 weeks
Really,
straight." You
like-
know?
That's how it is with Aaron. Like,
Yeah.
we've never had any fights or arguments or disagreements, or we just click. I mean, I think we just get along well, and so I never get stressed out
yeah.
by having him be around me or working with me. Like, there's no stress.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, let's do this or let's do that. There's no build up or stress, and it just sort of was an easy transition.
Which is great, like, because I feel like, business decisions are hard. And I used to live by this phrase, the only ships that sink are partnerships.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. Big Dave Ramsey. You Dave
Yeah,
Ramsey
yeah.
kind of kid. So I used to live by that, like, you know, I want to do my own thing, not have to be controlled by anybody else, and just have my own focus. But when I met Eric and Brian presented the idea, I was just like, makes sense. And really, in the, like, just the overall goal of what we're trying to accomplish is always the same. Like, we might, like, butt heads or something or whatever, but, like, we just know, like, what we're trying to create at the end of the day is always the same.
What about, surely you both had friends and hunting partners before you guys came together. How did you handle that with those friends and old
tough.
It is tough.
relationships?
You know, looking back for myself, when it came to my own hunts, I usually hunted solo, almost all the time.
Really?
I would help a lot of my friends. I'd take a lot of other people out and help them. But when it came to my own personal hunts, I was alone, high majority of the time.
Okay.
I enjoyed it that way. I had a different schedule or whatever, getting off work. It hasn't been much of a problem to me. You know, I think we all, as a group, have other friends we enjoy to go out with.
Yeah.
And then we have our times together where we get together, and it's awesome. But, you know, Casey loves to go hunt with his family and take out his kids, or he hunts and fishes with his dad a lot. And, you know, Brian has friends that are more passionate about fly fishing than I am, and they go fish and do trips on their own. And I love to just hunt with my brother. I have a few close friends that I've known for years that we go out on our little trips or hit our spots.
Yeah.
But then when we come together for hunts, it's awesome. Hasn't been much of an issue for me at all.
No, yeah, like, I feel like I've haven't done as good enough job as I should doing some hunts with, you know, my dad works full time still, and dude, like, that guy is like my ultimate idol, because he was the guy that was taking me out archery elk hunting when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And back then I would call for him because my balls hadn't dropped, and I would literally bugle through bugle tubes with my voice. So, like, I owe my dad everything. Like, I want to get back, and we talk about this all the time. Our family is, like,
huge.
Number one.
Yeah.
You know, Brian's the same way. His dad, like, we were very lucky. And I say this to people, and this comes from me living in L.A., because I always thought growing up that people that were against hunting were just against what we did, but they just didn't understand. They just don't understand. That's the majority of like what we call anti-hunters. They're not anti-hunters. They're just fence hunters. Yeah. They just don't understand, right? Yeah. But we were lucky enough to grow up with wonderful dads that showed us and taught us from a young age, you know, and it was something passed down from grandfather to father. So we all grew up very luckily. Not everyone has, which is, you know, crappy, but so we, you know, I feel like we all hold our hunting with our family and our dads very high. Like, that's huge for us, you know.
I'm struggling with that too. Like, you know, I've got 3 daughters that are growing up right now, and they're ready to start, you know, hunting more. I mean, one of them, they've got bows and they're shooting, but and then my own dad and my buddies Anthony and Ben, who we grew up. There hasn't been a season we haven't hunted together in, I don't know, a decade.
Yeah.
And so, but, you know, with Gritty Bowmen and Aaron and I teaming up on a lot of things, that's harder than it has been.
You're busier doing
it. Is. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking like the numerous times just this year alone that a good friend, maybe an old friend, maybe a new friend that want to go on a hunt. And I'm like, dude, my whole fall is basically mapped out like way before even tags come out. Like, we know, okay, here's Utah's general's tag, here's our general Colorado tags. Like, so it has become a problem. If back up a little bit, I have a lot of friends that hunt. I have a lot of friends that even want to hunt for the first time.
Yeah.
And I would love to take every single one of them out, but yeah, it does get pretty full because now that this is like a full-time thing, we hunt a lot, we film a lot. I don't have the opportunity to hunt as much as I would with a lot of my old friends. Yeah. And that's kind of a bummer, but there's one deer tag. You know, it's not like fishing, right? We could go fishing every weekend with everybody and then have one deer hunt.
Yeah,
it's a 9-day hunt, and it's like, that's my brother's hunt. You know, I always save that for my brother. So that is hard.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many tags in every state with, you know, one weekend hunt or 2 weekend hunt. So,
but you're right. Like I've been instead substituting some of those hunts with things like fishing. Or, you know, or alternate activities that you can do anytime. It's not that one elk tag for that one 10-day window. You know, there's other options.
It goes back to like for me, it goes back to my kids, right? Like I always say, like the most important thing you can do as a dad or a mom is spend time with your kids.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, I always want my kids to come do what I like to do, which is hunting and fishing.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're coming around. My 11-year-old daughter shot her first bear this year, which was super rad. Yeah. My 8-year-old son, like, loves to go on hunts. But the same thing goes with, like, your dad or your family or your friends. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. They just want to spend time with you, right? Yeah. Like, so, like, the alternate activities, fishing, hiking, whatever, like, I try to make up for it that way, you know.
I firmly believe in that. My kids, we just sold our house, and we're getting ready to move to Colorado. I'm teaming up with Aaron and doing some stuff with Kafaru and stuff. It's going to be neat. It's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. My wife's family is all in Colorado, so she has that community to be with, you know, because I will be gone a little more than I have been in the past because of my work with Gritty Bowmen. But my kids right now, we moved back. My wife and I built a tree house. Like
really
15, 20 years ago.
Dude, that's dope.
So it's a while ago. It's awesome. Yeah, Brent was so 19 years ago. And so we built this treehouse, and it's legit. And up in the trees, like 24 feet high, Swiss Family Robinson style. Yeah, we got a bridge that's like 45, 50 feet, spans across a slope straight across, and it's cool. We built it, and then we lived in it, and then we had children in it, and we moved out. Because it got crowded.
Yeah.
Because it's just a little
you guys
little
legitimately
house.
live there? That was your residency?
Oh, yeah, for like, I don't know, 7-8 years.
Wow. So can I ask you, was it like on your property?
On my parents' property.
Oh, right on.
They have a bunch of acreage, maybe 10 acres, 12 acres. So we just built it right there. And I like kind of the off-grid thing. I liked it. It was cool. My wife was game. And so we did that. And we're in. And anyway, sold the house, and we're kind of settling things and getting ready to do the move to Colorado. And when we moved into the treehouse, I mean, I put some pictures on Instagram and Facebook lately because people are asking questions. But I'm in the treehouse, and we were talking about moving the kids from the other house, which is way bigger and fancier and all that kind of stuff. And then we're moving into this tiny little cracker box, but it's in the country, right?
Yeah.
And I've been telling my wife for a while now. I remember being a kid. I didn't care about that, like how nice the house was. I really cared about how cool the outside was.
Yeah.
And there's all this land to play in, and dude, it's like they've come alive. There's no more. They're not like, can I play on the Wii or anything, or the iPad? It's like they want to be outside from the moment they wake up to the moment till dark. And on the same note, like when my dad was at work and working, I remember I didn't care how much money he made to pay the bills, right? Like,
No.
As a kid, he didn't make a lot of money. It never mattered to me. I just wanted my dad home.
Yeah.
I just wanted him home. And so as I made this jump to Gritty Bowmen, I'm like, my kids don't care if I make a lot of money. What they care about is dad home? Is he around? Is he in their life? And they'd rather have me be home all the time and just be comfortable.
Involved, yeah.
Financially, but be home all the time. And so it was an easy choice to make because now I'm home all the time.
Yeah.
It's a whole lifestyle change.
That's what I tell people all the time. Like, so I really have like two different audiences, like the vlog channel, which, are not necessarily hunters, like,
Yeah.
probably not,
Yeah. They just they follow your life.
But then I have the hunting, like we have the Hush channel, which are, now are starting to be more dedicated, like hunters and stuff. But like people are always like, you're gone all the time, Casey, hunting. I'm like, I leave for a week, but when I'm at home, I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
I take my kids to the bus stop every morning. I pick my kids up every day. Like,
yeah.
So it's like, I remember working at a cheese factory, right? And I understood this when I was a young kid too, because I was the same way. I didn't care what my dad did. I just wanted to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, the same way. But like we had this big meeting where we were working like 9-5s, right? Like Monday through Friday, like 40, getting our 40 hours. And they proposed the idea that we could switch to a 4-12 schedule and then have 4 days off. And I was like, yes, I want that. And this was before I was actually married and had kids. I was like, great, like that would give me some 4 days of freedom. And I remember all the parents, people that worked there that had kids were like, no, I've got to be at home, like, like every night, which is super important. But I was thinking like, dude, if your kids had the opportunity to be with you 4 days in a row instead of 2, like you get home from work at 5, like what you're tired, like,
right.
It's not. But if you had 4 dedicated days with your parents, like that time is going to be more important than having you home or having them home like
for 2 hours every night.
2 hours every night. I was like, no, this is what kids want. And they're like, no, this is what I want. And I believe that like when you can dedicate time to your kids for a period of time, dude, they're going to eat that stuff up.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
That's the beauty of how technology's changed, right?
Without a doubt.
There's a bunch of people sitting here right now that have made the ultimate leap away from the safety net of corporate America to do something and chase something that people are passionate about. And I think a lot of people are really surprised, like that Casey and Eric in particular can do this full time, and you're going to step into this, now.
Yep.
Like, how are you doing that full time?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I really want to get to you, Eric, about, the next step in this Hush story. But before we do that, just to stick on this topic, a lot of people do want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And people talk to me all the time about projects they're working on and business and brands they're trying to build and stuff. And you guys have done it. What do you think is what is it that, because a lot of people do, they're out there and they're trying, they're grinding, they're making a go at it, and yet they're not able to break free. What is that? What is it?
They give up.
Yeah.
They give up early, man. Dude, my brother is like very important person in my life, obviously, because he got me on this path. And he talks about this all the time, that all the secrets of life are hidden behind the word cliche, right? It's all those things
I heard him on Tim Ferriss talk
growing
about
up,
that.
like work hard, never give up, like, all this stuff that you hear all your life. And you're just like, yeah, everyone says that. It's the truth, though.
It is.
Right? It really
It
is.
is.
Like, I tell people all the time, like, people always reach out to us like, hey, I want to do YouTube. I want to do what you're doing. And I'm an open book. We're all open books. Like, you're not going to take anything away from me. And I've always said it, like, especially in the outdoor industry, like, the more people that are doing what we're doing, like on the social schedule, like social platform, like YouTube or wherever, it's better for all of us, right? Like, the more hunters that are going to YouTube to consume their entertainment is great for all of us. So I'll tell you anything. Like, I'll tell you exactly how I did it, exactly how I think you should do it. And I tell people all the time, and they'll do it for a month.
Yeah.
And then they stop.
You got to just run the playbook.
You do, man.
You got to
run the
commit.
playbook.
Go back to those cliches you've heard all your life. Work your ass off. Don't give up. Like, it will happen. Like, and it's, you know, like, there's a lot of people in this world that can vouch for this. Like, with the YouTube platform, the only way to fail is when you stop doing it.
Yeah. How could it not? You know, if you commit to it, if you continue to produce content and you deliver the promises you promised your audience, how can it not grow? You know,
because the platform, dude, every day, Monday through Friday, there's over 1 billion people that sign into YouTube.
Yeah.
To consume entertainment.
That's a big pie. You don't need a huge piece either.
No, you don't. You really don't.
In this space in particular, I think there's two good reasons why a lot of people fail at it. And I believe it's because they're in it for the wrong reasons.
True.
I can say right here, this group of friends that are doing Hush together, we never looked at, like, let's do Hush to make money, right? So you got the guys that are like, oh, you can make a living doing? I want to do that. I want to make money, or I want to get famous. They want to be in the spotlight. And that's not what any of this is about. We're so passionate about hunting and sharing our hunts. And it goes back 15 years ago or more for me. And that's why. It's because I did something that I was passionate about. No matter what anybody said, I kept going. I just had a vision. And now I'm lucky to meet these two guys who believe what I believe.
Yeah.
And together, I feel like we're way more, more powerful, stronger together as we are as individuals. But I think a lot of people jump into it for the wrong reason. They want to start a channel or start a YouTube to make money. So once they do it for 2-3 months and don't make the money, they stop.
Yeah.
So it's no
absolutely.
It's no get rich scheme.
It's the money.
It goes
it's the
back.
money and the views. Like, it's the fame and the fortune.
It's like anything you look at. I mean, Eric and I were talking about this the other day, but if you look at any kind of musician that suddenly breaks on the scene, is ultra famous with some big hit, a lot of people quickly assume, like, wow, these guys just got famous overnight. They're lucky.
Lucky.
Right?
That's what everyone always says.
If you peel the onion back, more than likely, those people have been grinding out these small little stores and shops and coffee shops and just working their ass off for 20 years.
Told you guys about.
And they finally made it.
What's his name? Lead singer of Foo Fighters.
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl. He was formerly in a band called Nirvana, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about, like, the shows on TV, like American Idol,
The Voice and stuff.
The Voice, like, he's like, that's not how an artist needs to, like, be, like, born. Like, you don't just get instant fame. He says, if you want to be in a rock and roll band, you need to go and buy an instrument and play it in your basement and just suck at it. Suck at it for a long time. And then you're going to meet some friends that have instruments, and they're going to suck at those instruments. And then you're going to join this band, and your band's going to play in somebody's garage, and you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
And then one day, if you don't give up, Nirvana's formed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no, I was feeling the same thing. Like, I started this whole Gritty Bowmen thing I read the 4-Hour Work Week.
It's a great book, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, it's time for me to negotiate time at home. So that was the first step.
Yep.
That took like a year. And then after I did that step, I'm like, okay, now I'm working from home. I'm doing things. Now I can spend a little more time on this other interest. And it was this process that took probably 2 years setting me up. So then I meet Aaron, and I'm like in a position where I'm like, okay, I could maybe do this. And I had taken all these classes. I had spent day and night studying teaching myself how to edit film and everything. I met the right people. I just followed everything. And then, one thing led to another. But if you look at it from the outside, some people look at Gritty Bowmen, they're like, well, he showed up
Yep.
and then here it is.
Yep.
But there's like a 3-4 year backlog of transitioning that took place.
The Hush is the same way. I mean, a lot of people don't realize the channel's been around since 2011. This didn't. I mean, we feel like we're just scratching the surface, but it didn't just happen.
Yeah,
it's been there.
Go
for
watch
a
my
long
first
time.
videos that I produced. They are like cookie cutter,
awesome,
garbage TV.
They're like Dave
stuff.
Grohl said.
Yeah.
You suck at it. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, I grew up just loving outdoor TV. Like, I would watch hunting shows for hours on end. But when you do that, and I'm not saying there's anything bad about it. There's a lot of shows on TV that are awesome, but you start doing that and you watch all these things, then, like, what you create is, like, just what they're creating, but you're trying to do what they're doing. And it's just, like, first 2 years is just terrible. And then when I started doing YouTube, we got rid of TV, and so I never watched any hunting outdoor stuff except for on YouTube. And so I was just like, well, you know what? I need to create stuff that like I'm like cool with, like,
right.
I want to create stuff that like I would watch.
And then
the green screen.
I was trying. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hushin with Lavere backdrop.
Dude, I had a sweet sign my father-in-law made me for Christmas. My wife had to make, and it was like the backdrop. And so like we'd go to a hunt. Whoever did the hunt with me, like we would do the interview like during the videos. Like, so Shay, what was it like killing your elk? It was crap. So you know what?
When did you change it up? Like you were saying, I didn't want to do this. You started putting content out that.
Well, I was just like, this stuff sucks. Like, I'd spend hours editing. And it was my first, like, it was so surreal to me that I was cutting a hunting video to put somewhere that somebody could see. And so I think I was, like, kind of, like, numb to the feeling, like, is this good? Is this not? No. Like, I have a kill shot and I have a bunch of B-roll footage. Like, it's going to be a great hunt,
Yeah.
But, like, then looking back at it, I'd be like, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Right. And, in that transition, like, we didn't have TV. I still don't have TV. I don't watch hunting stuff. Like, I was just like, I need to create stuff that's exciting for this platform. Like, I don't think TV stuff can necessarily transfer over to YouTube. It's a different audience. It's a different platform. Like, so, like, I would look at, like, what I was doing on my Casey Lavere channel, which was doing really well. And I'd be like, I need to make stuff that, like is like, similar to that, but for hunters,
Yep.
And so like, one season, dude, I got my little brother who was super badass at like, cinematography. He has an eye for it. That's very important. And dude, it was the year he graduated and he just came with me on every hunt. And I told him, I said, dude, he's like, what do you want? Like, I'm like, I want you to film what you would want to watch.
Yeah.
And dude, he opened my eyes. Like,
yeah, that year things changed. That was like the year we met. It was somewhere right around the year we met.
Yeah.
No, we actually met before it ever started.
Yeah. So the transition from when I met you to the next year. So going back to kind of how Hush started and how Casey and I met. The year I met him, the first year at the expo, we just kind of played some phone tag for a full year until he came up to me again at the next expo. So in that year, I had my eyes on both channels, Casey Lavere and Hushin, and I saw the growth in subscribers. I saw the quality in the film go up, and I'm just like, I want to be a part of this YouTube platform, So in that year, that's when I noticed like he's putting out some really cool content.
Yeah, I still feel like it was like some of the best stuff we've done. Like, we create awesome stuff now, but like that was like the big jump, like, all right, like throw all that stuff away you've ever watched and like create stuff that you would watch. I think that's very important. Like, people always ask me like,
totally,
how should I'm like, dude, create stuff that like interests you. Like create stuff that you're excited about. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, don't create things that you think people will like. Create things that you would like, Like,
it's sort of like with podcasting. I want to interview people that interest me.
Yeah.
And I want to ask questions that satisfy my itch.
Well, it's natural, right?
Yeah, it is. It's real and it's honest. And then if other people like it, that's icing on the cake. But first and foremost, it's a bit selfish, but this is for me.
Yeah.
And then I share it. That's the unselfish part.
Well, that goes back to like working for corporate America. Like, do you enjoy what you're doing? Like,
yeah,
you enjoy, like, are you proud of, like, your day's accomplishments? Like, when I was making those first videos, I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't proud of it. I was just, like, putting it out there and hoping that it got some traction. But at the same time, I couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
I've never watched those videos again. I tell people not to, but maybe they could see our growth. But, like, it goes back to, like, if you enjoy what you're doing, which means you're creating the content you're excited about.
Yeah. I just did this bear hunt with Aaron Snyder in British Columbia, and I made a film out of it and launched it last week. And it was one of the first films I've really just gone straight to YouTube with. So I did my first film I ever did. I went into the Full Draw Film Tour with Anthony and his dad on an elk hunt. And then as soon as the tour, they kept the rights to it for a year. And then when I got it back from them, I put it out for sale. Then I got another film that I put together with Blacktails, and I put it back in Full Draw Film Tour because I really wanted to pay them back for all the time that they invested in me.
By the way, is a super sweet. Those guys do a good job.
They do. And so I wanted to give back, so we put it in there, but it's locked up again.
Yeah.
And then Tim Burnett saw it and liked it, and he's like, hey, I want to put it on Solo Hunter because it's a solo hunt. And so it should go out there sometime. But what I did was I had held back some of that content where I put a lot of hours into making something that was creative for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just putting it out there on YouTube, and gosh, it has been so cool to put this bear hunt out and just show people and see the response. And it's been solid. One of the things that was interesting is there are people who see that content and it's like super positive. Like,
yeah.
Most people are loving the film. There's a few people that get on there and are like, what's all this, you guys just hanging out and talking stuff?
Yeah, it's different.
They're like,
especially
they're the
in
guys
this
that are
space.
watching.
You only got a little bit of a stock on a film and a shot, and then it's over. And then it's all this other stuff that's not related to that moment. And it's like, well, yeah, but I've seen a million kill shots.
Yeah.
That's not what it is for me. I want to experience the hunt. And so I have some friends that are like, I think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of fun to go on to travel along with you on this part, but I think a lot of the hunting in company, a lot of people out there won't like it because, they just want to get to the hunt. And so I'm like, you know what? Back to what you said. I got to make this for me.
Yeah.
This is a memory for me, for my kids, for my grandkids. I want them to see a deeper message, or one that this is how it was for us, and take them on a real hunt with us. And that might mean that there's not even a kill shot in the film because we didn't get it on there.
Yep.
I think as you produce more content for YouTube, you'll realize that more people will start to adapt to your style, right? I mean, so much of the stuff we post isn't kill shots because that's not how it happens. Well, and at the end of the day, like, that's not really what the hunt is about. And I think we've done some different experimenting last year, and one of the events that we did was a Colorado deer hunt, mule deer hunt, and we just filmed everything, the dumbest stuff, the most boring stuff, missing animals, everything you could think of that you normally would not include in a film.
Yeah.
We
put
missed
it up.
animals on that trip?
Okay, when I say we, I mean me.
I forgot about that.
But the point is, we just put it out there.
Yeah.
And I think people started to really enjoy understanding what goes on in a hunt.
This is the reason why, is because if you have hunted, if you're a hunter, you know what goes into a hunt, right?
Right.
So when you just show the kill shot, in my opinion, majority of hunters will say, well, that's the kill shot. They filmed this much of it, right? Also with that, when you show everything, and I'm talking about the process, I always say a hunt is a process, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you show everything, because going back to what we call as hunters, the anti-hunters, but really they're just the fence sitters that don't know about hunting, those people get intrigued by it because it goes against everything they ever thought or heard about hunting, where it's like the majority of people that don't hunt or have never hunted that have an opinion on it think that hunting is a group of dudes getting in a pickup truck, loading it with 10 cases of beer, driving around the mountains, and shooting everything you see and driving home. That's it.
Right.
we all know that's not true, right?
Right.
There's so, like, we love the animals, like, we shoot them, we eat them, like, that's the process, right? So you also capture the hunters that are like, thank you for finally showing how a hunt really goes down. It's not about the kill shot. But at the same time, you capture the other audience that doesn't know about hunting, and they're like, wow, you just opened my eyes to what hunting is. I didn't know that you actually ate the animal. I didn't know that you would hunt for 7 days before you shot something. Like, so you capture the encompass of the audience, really.
That's what I think too. Like that sort of, that's why I'm encouraging as many people as I can to get a camera. Even if you're like Snyder and it's photography based and it's moving, it's impactful. People see his work and they go, oh, that's not a dumb redneck. That's somebody who sees nature and captures beauty and,
without a doubt,
has a deep appreciation for being out there.
Just wait until you start getting more content put up and the feedback that you're going to get from people that just randomly found it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That are not typically a hunter. Maybe, like
Dude,
Casey
my
mentioned,
YouTube game is it's struggled. I mean, it's doing all right, but I'm doing like crazy good on the audio side.
Yeah.
My YouTube, and rightly so, because my YouTube content has been minimal other than recording podcasts. But I do have some films and videos out there. But now that I'm full time, now I can really dive into YouTube, and that's a kind of a goal, is to really grow that. Well,
let's go back
community.
to what I said like 20 minutes ago. Like, we're open books. We'll tell you everything.
And that's what you guys have killed that market.
I think, dude, we do a great job, but there's many people out there that could probably do a better job, like, without a doubt. Like, and like I said, like, we hold no secrets back. Like, we're going to have a YouTube meeting tomorrow morning.
Nice.
With you.
Nice.
Let's do it. Let's do it, boys.
Yeah. But, like, going off what Brian's saying is, there's no doubt about it. Like, when you get, like, Western, like for us, Western or even any hardcore hunter that watches your video and leaves you a nice response, that's rad, right?
Oh,
we're
dude,
like,
I got so many on this bear hunt. It's like unreal. Like it's off the charts for me.
And it makes it like, it goes back to what I was saying about when you starting a vlog. Like, yeah, I am funny, Like, this guy I know is a badass that kills big deer, and he watches our videos.
Yeah.
Like, cool. But honestly, the most important thing and the coolest thing to us is when we get the comments, and I always screen grab them and put them in a folder because they mean the most to me. Is when there's somebody I don't know, but they say, "Hey man, thanks for showing that. I was against hunting, or I wasn't a hunter, but I've been watching your videos. I want to hunt." Or not even if they want to hunt, but like they're like, I respect hunting. I understand it. Like, good for you. Like, that's huge for us.
I have people coming up to me and sending me messages. I can't respond to them all at this point, but every day that is, hey, you've changed my life, or you've got me into archery, or I never hunted before, but now I'm going to hunt, or I'm going on my first Western hunt. I've lost all this weight. I really care about. I mean, it just, and there's people that come up to me now and are like, they want a signature or something. Well, dude, I'm like regular Joe, right? Like, I don't. And
that's what we all are, man. Like, everyone in the world is just a regular.
You want a
person.
tax guy's signature?
Yeah,
you bet.
And so I'm sitting there in my mind going, why this? But I've kind of put it together. Like, when do I feel like, I don't know, like impressed in when I meet someone. Like when I'm sort of like, whoa, that's so-and-so. It's always someone who made a difference in my life.
Yeah.
And I think
that's true.
It is. Like, it's always someone who made me better, or helped me grow, or made me laugh, or
opened your eyes to something new.
Right.
Like,
and they inspired me.
Yeah.
So I think that, now it makes it easier for me to understand, if I made that influence, if Aaron did, or if some of the work we've done, or my other buddies through Gritty Bowmen, if we made a difference, then there's this, especially a big difference in their lives. Got them back on track health-wise, or got them back in the outdoors after they had been in a 9-to-5 rut and just hadn't gone out, or whatever it might be. Then I could see where they want to come up and thank me for it, right? And it's a cool place to be. And to me, when you're talking about motives for why you're doing a show, why you're doing like Gritty Bowmen or Hush, I think it does boil down to why. Do you want to be popular? Do you want to be famous? Is that why you're doing it? Or do you want to make money? Do you want to be rich?
Man. Those guys will crash every time.
And I really think that, for me, my motives from the very beginning were not to make money. Was not to make money. Was never to. I never really thought it would be something I did full time. I was just going to do it to make a little money on the side if it happened. But my real goal was I wanted to make films of this stuff, get people outdoors, make them really want to change their lives, have a platform where I can influence people toward better health and wellness and stuff like that. So that was the overwhelming drive.
It's the most important thing. It goes to the why. You hear a lot about motivational speeches or talkers.
TED Talks.
Yeah, like, people, man, there's that people that have that entrepreneurial mindset get it, the why. And so a lot of people probably come to you, and same with us, everyone on here. A lot of friends will come with a business idea, and I let them pitch it. It sounds great. Cool. Well, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do that? And it's money, man. It's always money because I can make so much money doing it. I'm like, but is that what's going to make you happy? Are you truly passionate about what you just explained, or, and I go, tell me the reason why. And it's never usually
we've talked
something
about this.
like our why.
Yeah, we've talked about this numerous amount of times.
Yeah, we go on these trips. We're at the hotel. It's 2 a.m. and we get in these heart-to-hearts, just like, and we can get emotional about it because we talk about why we're doing Hush. And we can sit there and talk about our why.
We cry a lot, guys. It's true. Like, I've been trying to figure this out, like at our premieres and stuff. Like,
oh, geez, I talk about it.
The reason it's weird. Like, I feel emotional now. Like, but like what we are doing, like, is so like important to me. Like, that it's hard for me not to get like passionate and emotional about it. But like we've talked about, like having opportunities to like do different things and we can make a ton of money. Like we've had ideas that like not necessarily like a hunting channel, but like a hunting like multi-channel network and stuff like that. And like, dude, we could blow it up because no one's really doing that right now. But it's like, and I always say like, but we could make a ton of money, but like, would we be happy? Is that what we want to do? It's
like, do we want to be back in an office? Like,
like
the salesman again. And
regardless of what you do in life, if you chase what you're passionate about, money will always happen to just follow along down the road.
Like Dave Ramsey was a huge influence, has always been since I found him years ago, and read all of his books. And he recommended a book called Start. A few other. I've kind of gone through Dave Ramsey's recommended list of books and read probably 70% of them.
Really?
And I think that one of the things that he's like, you're the same person you are today that you were, 10 years ago, except for the people you meet and the books you read. And so I took that to heart a long time ago and started reading a lot more books than I ever planned on reading. And it's life-changing. But he talked about getting out there and starting. He said something like what you just said, Brian. He said, if you can get out and let's say you want to do a podcast in the hunting industry. Maybe it's flooded. Maybe there's a whole bunch of people that do it. If you're passionate about it and you're doing what you love to do, he's like, it's just a matter of time. And maybe it's not a lucrative career, right? You don't get paid well for doing a podcast, right, or whatever. He's like, if you're chasing what you're passionate about, usually if you're that guy, you'll be in the top 5% of that industry. And that top 5% will make money. And it may not be as much money as some other industry, but who cares? Because you're in the lifestyle and you're doing what you're passionate about, what you're engaged in.
I had a friend come to our movie premiere that we launched this February. It was our New Mexico hunt. And this was a high school buddy who I grew up with from middle school on. And we've been on and off in touch. He started a family, have kids. I'm doing my thing. We kind of went down different paths. But he came to that movie premiere, and I hadn't really hung out with him and spent much time with him as of recently. And back in high school and middle school, I got my first video camera. We filmed everything. We filmed our skateboarding. We filmed our snowboarding. And besides those two things, my favorite thing to film was deer and elk hunts and me going out and going on these adventures. So Andy's his name, one of my best friends. He always knew I was out, you know. They're always like, hey, where do you go on the weekends, man? You're always like disappear and you're out of town. Like, we never know what you're doing out there, you know. I'm like, I go on these trips, like, let me show you. And I love to share my content with these friends, you know. So they knew that I was this go out and hunt and film wildlife.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't really, that was back in like middle school and high school. And then he came to this movie premiere, and after he's like, dude, you have not changed, you know? He's like, I cannot believe back in those days when we would sit there and you'd plug in the audio videos and show us on the VHS, you out chasing elk and calling elk and talking in the camera like you were some host of some show that didn't even exist, you know? I mean, I literally
Eric
filmed.
Chester Outdoors,
Eric,
dude.
blowing up. So, yeah, like you said, like, I haven't changed. And hearing it from him, it made me realize, like, yeah, I'm still just doing what I love. Packing a camera, hunting with my buddies, and showing it to people. Now my audience is just on YouTube
That's funny
versus
you say that
the living
because,
room.
like, go back to, like, junior high and high school. You did what you loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was never about money or anything like that.
Yeah,
or
you
fame.
didn't.
You did what made you happy, right? And that's pretty awesome that you're doing the exact same thing.
It is. It is. I feel very lucky.
I am very, like, I'm a big believer in, like, what Brian was saying. Like, there's so many people out in the world that just chase the dollar bill. Mm-hmm. There's never a finish line to that, right?
Speaking about dollar bills and books, you mentioned you read the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. He talks a lot about this too, but it's all in perspective, right? If you could make $150,000 a year, but you had to work 80 hours a week and you were committed to a corporation that you hated what you did, is that more lucrative than making $70,000 a year doing what you love with a lot of free time? And who's richer?
Yeah.
Right, that's a question that comes up a lot.
Well, it's like you go to, like, you know, you read a lot of things about, like, people on their deathbeds and stuff, and it's like no one ever talks about the amount of money they made, right? It's about the experience they had, the time they spent with their families. Like, that's the one thing you cannot put a price tag on. I tell everybody this, like, you cannot put a price tag on your time, right?
Yeah.
Your kids.
Randy always says this: you're going to run out of health before you run out of money, right? I mean, but that book inspired me the same way it inspired you to start. Like, what could I start doing on the side? Mm-hmm. You know, in addition to, like, okay, until I can do it full time, what can I start getting myself into? And making that leap of faith, like Eric's talked about in Casey, of being that ultimate entrepreneur and doing something on your own for yourself that you really, really love. I mean, I think that's one of the things we all enjoy inspiring other people to do is go test that boundary, right? Take that jump of faith, because it's hard. It's the hardest jump to ever take. Casey leaving the guaranteed money and saying, I'm going to go do YouTube videos 5 years ago when nobody was ever doing that is the hardest decision a person with a family could ever make.
Yeah, and now looking back, like, it's funny, like, looking back, it's like greatest decision ever made, right? Mm-hmm. But at the time, it was like, I can't leave my now, right? I can't leave this job. I can't leave the money. Like, I can't leave this house. But now, like, I've been through, like, the gamut of, you know, like, doing stuff on my own, and now I look at it as, like, dude, what is the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
If you take a chance. You have to go get another job
Exactly.
somewhere.
I think about that all the time. I was like, if Hush ended tonight and tomorrow Hush was disappeared, hey, go get a job, I guess.
Go,
you know,
grab a job.
I was going to say, like,
you know, like, and what was the risk of it? You know, like, you took a chance. Like, you'll never look back on your past and say, man, I'm really bummed that I took a chance.
Yeah.
You'll never say that. It's like, you'll look back and say, even if it didn't work out, say, I was brave enough to take a chance to better myself, to better my families.
Absolutely. Tim Ferriss, in his book, he has a chapter on fear. And he talks about, and it's, I mean, I go back and I'll read it every now and then, where he just explains how irrational it really is. Mm-hmm. And that fear of leaving that job to chase that goal or that dream, it's
usually a job you hate anyways.
Yeah, there's really, it's this kind of weird fear that we let control us. And he breaks it down. And when you actually write it down and break it down, like, what's the worst that's going to happen and so on, you kind of go through these exercises, you're like, what am I actually afraid of? This is just an adventure.
That's right.
Yep.
It's just an adventure. I'm going to, I mean, we live in America. It's kind of hard to go hungry. At the end of the day, you generally, you're okay.
And it goes back to like you talking about like your dad and like how much money he made. Like I look back on my childhood, and my dad always had a good job. My mom worked hard. I would say that we went through some rough times. Like we were born, I remember when my dad like finally finished school as an electrical engineer. Like we didn't have a lot of money back then, I guess, but like I don't dwell on that.
Yeah,
I don't ever think about that.
Dude,
like I think my kids like really like is what scared me. Like was like, are they going to have to go without? Dude, kids don't remember.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is that I went through that
don't.
same exercise. I was like, well, they're going to have to go without, and then I'm like, dude, I went without.
Yeah.
I actually am glad I went without.
It's not that bad.
I remember my parents bought this acreage they live on now. My dad, they move to Oregon and they buy this big piece of property, which there's no houses on it. It's just raw land. And they buy this property and they're like, you know what? While we build this house, we're just going to pitch a tent. We're just going to live out of this tent. So we start living out of this tent. It's like a wall tent. Well, it rains a lot in Oregon. Pretty soon the wall tent's flooding and it's muddy. And I'm maybe first grade. It's bad, Next thing I know, rather than sleeping in the tent because there's just water everywhere and it's leaking, while they're building the house, we're living inside the Volkswagen van, 1979, pea green with tan top. It was pretty posh, right? So my dad worked graveyard. He'd go to truck drive, so we'd go to bed at night. He'd get in the van like at midnight to head into to work. We were already asleep. Right, I remember sleeping right by the heater that blew out between the two seats, so I could get a little extra warm, And then halfway to my dad's office, I'd be too hot, and I'd have to like move. I'm sleeping on the floor. I got my sisters up here, and my mom. We're just sleeping through. We only have the one vehicle. He parks in the parking lot and goes to work, while his whole family's sleeping in the van. Right, and then we get back in the van, and he come after he finished his shift, and we drive home, and then we go to school, and we kind of like did that for a while until we got the home out there set up and moved in. And all that for me as a kid was just awesome. Yeah. It was just awesomeness. Yeah. It was just adventure. And so I think like my wife experienced a different kind of childhood. And so I'm kind of always dragging her in. Let's build a tree house. It'll be awesome. She's like, what? I'm like, this is a dude who grew up in a van and a tent, so it's like,
that's an upgrade.
Yeah, but all that stuff, all the property that they bought, dude, that was the epic adventure. That was the cool part. Yeah. It wasn't the house. And then the house we moved into, it was very like minimal, right? And but as I grew up, I guess my values and the things I valued were more the outdoors and the land that the house sat on than the house itself. And it's carried through to now. And I thought about back what you said. As I'm getting ready to leave this corporate job that pays well, that has enabled me to do a lot of what I'm doing now, like the equipment and things I bought and the things I've been able to do was because of this other career I've been engaged in for 20 years. But now that I'm here and I'm taking that jump, it's my kids. The only thing that really gave me pause was I want to make sure my kids aren't going without. Yeah. And I had that thought in my mind, and it was like, you know what? Going without, it's not bad for people. It's not bad for kids.
Not at all.
And so I was like, hey, if it doesn't work out, they just have an adventure. Yeah. I had one. So did it.
I look at it like people always ask me, like, I've done some pretty weird stuff on YouTube before, right? Not like super weird, like dressed up as a girl.
Not like your brother.
Oh, I've done weird stuff on him. But like, it's like, they're like, what are you going to think like 20 years from now and look back and be like, that's how you made your living? I'm like, dude, I run on a 5-year program, if that. Like, if what I do today, is it going to affect me? Like, am I going to look back and wish I wouldn't have done that 5 years ago? No way. Yeah. I think kids are the same way. Like, maybe your kids don't have brand new shoes when they go to school in 2nd grade. Dude, they're going to be in 7th grade and look back and be like, They don't remember that. You don't remember 2 years ago, in my opinion. Like, I just feel like, for me anyways, like, being with my kids, it goes back to my like ultimate like motto is spending time with your kids is the most important thing you can do. It's not buying them nice stuff. It's not it's not like living in a brand new house. It's the memories they make, and those memories are made by being with their parents, being with the family.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, I look back on the risk we took, and now it's just like, it wasn't even a risk. Like, if I could go back, I'd be like, slap myself up the head and be like, Casey, you go do what you're passionate about because your family will love you for it.
Yeah.
Because they do. I'm happier.
Right.
When you work at a job you hate, you go home with the 2 hours a day that we talked about.
Yeah.
And you're just ornery and, like, you're not liking yourself. You're not liking your job. But now I do what I'm passionate about, and I go home and I love, like, being home. Like, dude, that's
and you know what
that's
I think,
life, man.
You know what I think can be even more, you know, insidious in a way? It's a job you don't hate, but that you don't love. Mm-hmm. It gets the job done, and you're like, I like my job. And that's okay.
It's usually, I like the people I work with.
Because that's where I've been for a long time. I'm like, my job's good.
Yeah.
If I complain about my job, I'm a baby, you know, because I've had a good job. I have no complaints. I love where I worked. I love the people I worked with. But it's not like this job. It's not, my passion wasn't there. It was just a place to, you know, to make some income to take care of my family.
It's always about the dollar bill.
Talked to a lot of friends lately that have kind of seen what I've done over the years, and it seems like the number one thing that they're bummed about is they just like plateau. They're not using their creativity anymore. They're just like not doing something that they absolutely love every day they wake up, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel lucky to be able to do that, to use like my creative side, you know, when I edit, try to get creative. And I think a lot of people are in a job where it may be not that they hate the job, or like you said, it's not that bad, but they're just like stuck in like, I can't, you know, I pitch ideas and they don't like them, and I have these good ideas and the company won't use them. Or they're just like, you know, monitored.
I think finding the right people to launch off that plateau from is important too. You know, everybody has somebody that maybe pushed them to take that jump. Mm-hmm. You know, you had obviously Aaron as a great person that you could kind of like work with. Casey initially was motivated by his brother to kind of get started. The three of us are very different, but we complement each other in great ways. We have different talents. We have different strengths. We have different skill sets that really complement each other. And I think having somebody or people there that you can kind of like jump off into this new adventure with is really important, because I mean, I'm a big believer that I don't think we would be as strong as a channel without all three of our inputs in different ways, because we all do different stuff better than others, and it's a great partnership. Yeah. And I think, you know, from what you spoke of, what you and Aaron are doing, similar. You know, you guys have different strengths and skill sets that really complement each other. Having that there makes jumping a hell of a lot easier.
But it goes back to, like, me and Eric always talk about it. If you're doing something for the right reason and you're being a good person, which is pretty vague, but like, there will be certain people that are put in front of you for certain reasons, right? Yeah. You know, like, if you're doing what, like, you know, if your ultimate goal is to be doing good, other good people will be put in front of you, right? Yeah. And there's no doubt, like, that's what happened to
the timing. Yeah. You know, timing is so important. And when I went from the hunting industry to working at a gym, and every day was torture, man. Every day was, how do I get back out there? You know, this is going to pay the bills, right, for now. Yep. But how do I get back out there? And I remember sitting upstairs at the gym, and I had known Casey had been doing this YouTube stuff, and I know he had some films to launch. Just sent him a text, hey, man, you want to rent the movie theater and do a movie night with me?
This is before we...
Yeah, we were not Hush. We were just like, you film hunts, I film hunts. We're buddies. Yeah. We had a great time on a couple hunts together. And, man, he wrote back instantly, like, heck yeah, let's go. And that's how it started. So I was just like, I got this hunt, the fireball hunt. I really want to share it on the movie theater, because I just kind of saved it for that, you know? Yeah. But I wasn't just going to go rent my own theater and be like, Eric Chester night, you know? I don't know. It just seemed weird, you
Eric
know?
Chester Outdoors, dude.
Eric Chester Outdoors.
Tree Lounge Kid.
Hunt. Burn Lounge Kid.
Burn Lounge Kid.
Holy cow. How all this internet stuff goes way back. I think probably for all of us.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast. How'd you get started on the internet the first time?
What was your first handle on the internet?
We'll have to talk about that.
Skaterboy 420. No, I'm just kidding.
That's cool, though.
But that's how we got connected. I mean, we went on a couple hunts together, and I was, I kind of mentioned, hey, I want to rent a movie theater and do this, movie night. Casey had a big audience on his channel. I had a small following and stuff on my own Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we started working together. Working together was very easy. We had the same similar ideas. We had the same vision, and then it was around that time when Brian was kind of like, well, why don't you guys just do Hush together? And I was like, yeah, I've thought about that. And I remember Casey looking at me being like, why didn't you say something? I was like, I don't know. That's your baby.
Dude.
I know how it is to have your own,
Okay.
that's your thing,
I feel like this is sharing time.
Yeah.
I'm letting it out there. So I actually talked to Aaron. I was like, hey, do you want to do this together, or do you just want me to keep doing it, me and you just be on the side, or what do you want to do? And he's like, well, yeah. I mean, unless you don't want me to.
Yeah, it was this thing. Like,
It's a funny thing, like bringing somebody in or like being
Right.
outside and wanting to be like, yeah, it's just like, but at the same time, like, that like goes back, like, I just knew Eric was a good person that had like the same why I did. And me and Brian have been friends for, 5 years? Like, and
I
he'd
just had to
always-
play matchmaker.
He did.
Because it was the perfect blend. Casey had what Eric needed, which was a big platform to launch off of. And on the flip side, Eric had what Casey needed, which was somebody that could be dedicated and really put their entire effort and creative background into Hush to make it more consistent.
And not only that, like, you downplay it. Like, Eric had, and he obviously still has a big, like, Western following. And
Yeah, absolutely, for
I was
sure.
missing out on that because
Yep.
I was just a YouTube vlogger,
That's right.
making hunting videos. But
They had what each other needed.
Yeah, they
and
complement
it made
each other.
sense
so
to come
Yeah,
together.
Aaron and I are not exactly similar. I mean, in some ways, yeah, but for the most part, we're like different, and that we bring different skills to the table. There's no way Aaron is going to create Aaron Snyder photography. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to put the website together. He's not going to create it. He's going to take awesome pictures because he loves that, and it's going to stop right there.
Yeah.
Other things too, where there's things I'm not going to do, and Aaron's going to do them, and it just in the end it really did pan out. One thing I wanted to bring up with you two was that I noticed is, and that I think is important, is you guys are both pretty humble dudes.
yeah, we try. I mean,
Especially, I met Eric for the first time, like face to face, really, where we got to talk was at the Hunt Expo.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just impressed with how humble Eric was. Like,
He gets a bad rap. I think people judge Eric because he's got a pretty chiseled look. He took an incredible animal. I think people naturally
people
look
are
at
always
him,
going to be
they-
jealous. Like,
not a lot of people not even jealous. They just misread him for somebody that he truly isn't.
here's the thing
Yeah, I
that it
agree.
comes down to, and we've talked about it. Like, why wouldn't we be humbled? Because, like, we have, and I just talked to Casey about this on the way over here, like, I always feel like, what did we deserve to do, like, the ultimate thing we've always wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're honestly, like, on a work trip at freaking
Snowbird.
TAC, doing a podcast and shooting archery. Like,
Yeah.
what did we deserve? And I can tell you, we worked our asses off. We put ourselves in the right positions. Our why was always good. We got put in front of each other. But, like, at the same time, like, I'm always going to be humble because, dude, there's a million other people that could be doing this that aren't willing to or not trying, Like, dude, we're just so fortunate, and we know that. Like, that's the bottom line. We know we're fortunate to be doing what we're doing, but we take it very seriously.
Yeah, I tell it can. I mean, when people approach you and praise you, oh, you're a celebrity. I'm like, oh, I hate when people say that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. But I understand why they say it. But I'm just like, dude, no, I'm not. Like, I tell people all the time, I am no different than anybody, and I'm not doing anything different than that anybody can do. So when someone's like, oh, you're a celebrity, like you're so, you have a big YouTube, I'm like, dude, you can make YouTube videos. I'm just doing it because I love it and I'm passionate about it. But I'm definitely
No, I noticed right off
No
the bat there
different.
was a lot of humility, and you guys are just there's that humble, and you meet a lot of different guys in the industry, and I tend to be drawn to the people that have a lot more humility than most. But I think there's a lot of people that are misjudged. Like I think Aaron for a long time is misjudged. Yeah. Aaron's a lot more humble than people realized.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I've only met Aaron a few times, and I was like, dude, that is a good person.
Yeah.
Like, same with you. I don't know where I was going, but at the same time, like, you're doing well because you are humble, right? Like,
well, I think that I've just seen how, the pride can, arrogance and stuff can really, really blind people. Yeah. And so it's a legit thing for me where I'm like, every day I'm like, don't get blinded. Don't get snuck up on. Don't think you're this, know. And I'm a big fan of C.S. Lewis. Yeah. And he's got a lot of stuff he writes about humility and pride and stuff. And I go back and read that all the time because I think pride is one of those things that and it's funny because, we all have it to some extent or another.
Human nature.
Yeah, and whether we know it or we don't know it. But to me, like studying and understanding pride and working on a regular basis is kind of like an everyday thing. It's always on my mind. And I talk to a lot of people who they don't even think about it. And I feel like I have to make sure it doesn't creep up on me and get me, because I don't want to be that guy. And I think that it limits your success. That humility, humbleness, all that kind of stuff. It's funny, this moment you say you have it, you don't have it, right? It's like this cliche. Yeah. But, trying to manage that is, I think, a key to success in life because it blocks all relationships, all love, all success because you're blinded by that. When you're open and when someone, C.S. Lewis says this thing where if you're in a room with someone with that's just an arrogant, difficult person and you get annoyed and you're upset and you're pissed off when they're around you, well, then you got pride too. Yeah. It's like the test, right? Mm-hmm. And so there be people that come in and I'm like, and they act like how a proud person acts, and if I'm like, I'm okay with it, just doesn't even bother me. I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. It's cool. I know I'm like in a good space, but if I'm like, dude, who's he to say that to me? What? Then I'm like, whoa, check red yourself. Flag. Whoa, check myself. I've got some issues here. I need to work on personally.
I think it's a sign of insecurity to a degree, right? I think a lot of people that you meet that are real humble and pretty mellow, I think are pretty secure with who they are and what their message is, and they don't really care what people think about them, right? And as you put more things out for people to judge, you need to become more comfortable with people judging you.
Oh yeah, man. If you're gonna if you're gonna be in the industry or be, a personality or an influencer in any industry, if you can't take, hate comments and stuff like that, you'll never last. I mean,
the thing about us is, and I've always said this to myself, is I will never take myself too serious because I'm not a serious person. So why would I take myself serious? Like, I don't expect other people to take me super serious. Like, I'm very passionate about hunting and fishing. Like, the same thing with Eric. Like, we get like bad raps from like different people. Like, I'm too much of the jokester and Eric's too serious. But like at the same time, like, dude, we just enjoy doing what we're doing, and nothing else. Like, right. And we want to share that with people. Like, right. We don't take ourselves serious. Like, I think people like maybe get like this flaw, like thing that like we think that we're like professional hunters or like we know everything.
No,
dude,
way,
we are
man.
so far from that.
Dude, I would tell people I'm not a great shot. Like,
no, like I know,
there's way better videographers than us.
Oh yeah, like
we're not
there's
the best
so many
at
people are better at little things than we are, but like we just don't take ourselves serious, and we're just like.
I find that refreshing. Just not taking myself too serious, just putting it out there and just being as real as possible.
The thing is,
have fun with it.
You will never impress. Like, I go back to the Utah audience, right? Like, and you will never like please everybody. It's like being an umpire at like a 12-year-old baseball game, right? Like
someone's gonna hate you.
Half the parents are gonna love you. Half the parents are gonna hate you. It's kind of how it is with life and YouTube. Like, people can always find ways to not like you, and those are the insecure people.
And I'll say that YouTube is meaner than iTunes.
Yeah.
There's a lot more hate.
Can you leave comments on iTunes?
Yeah, you can leave reviews. People leave reviews, you know.
You know, I was just thinking back for an example on our Dutch oven pizza cooking video we just
dude,
put up.
like so many people should have hated that video.
Casey says, "Hey, you know, I think I saw this before. You can make pizza in a Dutch oven. Let's make a video." We don't go study how to do it. We don't read about it. We're not professional cooks. We're just going to shoot the film. So Casey buys the ingredients. I mean, the video is hilarious. He doesn't even know how to open up the dough.
I'm like beating the dough like
apparently the dough is just rolled up.
You unroll it,
flatten it.
Yeah.
He starts kneading it.
What was I rolling it with?
The top of the thing it came in.
Yeah, like I was rolling with another dough thing.
Yeah, you had two doughs. So anyways, the point was that, you know, we're not saying, hey, we're professional cooks, but we're saying, hey, we're willing to try this. You guys should try it for the first time too. I mean, we burnt the pizza. People in the comments are like,
hack
holy
this
cow.
recipe. You guys should try hacking it with us. Like, you know, like you're camping, you know, out turkey hunting. Like, we're gonna make pizza in a Dutch oven. How many people do that? We're gonna hack the hell out of this. Like, and that's what all we're doing. You know, that's like half of our videos. Like, we just try stuff out. Like.
Yeah.
You know, we want to inspire people to get out there and try something new, you know?
For me, I've said this many times. I say this to people every day. I want people to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I think laughter is powerful. So the more that, I try to target shows and some individuals that make people laugh, because laughter is like healing and and it crosses boundaries. It makes people bond. You know, it's this laughter is powerful. 2, I want people to feel inspired and motivated. I want them to leave a show and be like, I want to be better, or I want to work harder, or I want to try something new, or I want to get off my can, or something inspiring.
Leave a lasting impression with them. Yeah.
And 3, learn something. I want them to learn things. And to me, they kind of all 3 blend together if you do it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of the motivation with each podcast.
How are we doing so far? Maybe 2 out of 3.
Hey, man,
Probably haven't learned much yet.
I think there's little nuggets here and there. That's the thing about long form, you know, like communication like this.
Yeah,
little things you never know. Some things that anybody said tonight
could trigger
something for one person.
Pick up on it. Like, we do videos like this all the time. Like, I always think like long like explanation videos are dumb, like people aren't going to watch them. But dude, like a lot of times people are like, I learned about this or I learned about that, and I was like, I never even thought about that.
Yeah,
you know,
that was not the point of it. It was just a tangent we went on. The tangents, like I listen to other people's podcasts, and tangents are sometimes my favorite parts.
Oh,
you know? I mean, they just that's where you get into the real stuff.
Yeah.
What has been one of the most memorable experiences that you guys have had since you started Hush? Like, what just stands out? Like, just it's huge for you.
Dang, that's a great question, because there's so much, like the whole thing about like me not taking myself serious, like, you know, like I like you say, I always want to make people laugh and stuff, but like I honestly like there's so many, like I'll talk about one maybe. If I don't get emotional. So we had been on so our movie premiere, if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's called Hush Life the Movie. It is literally a seamless 130-minute or 98-minute documentary about a hunt we went on. And basically it was Brian had a antelope tag in New Mexico. Eric was going down to film it. I was going to meet Eric and Brian because me and Eric had elk tags down in the Gila National Forest of New Mexico. So we knew it was going to be a long process. Things got changed. They flew down there the same day I drove down. They got down there. This landowner had an extra tag. They called me and asked me if I wanted to buy it to go hunt antelope. And I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. Like, so I met them in Clayton, New Mexico, which is like middle of nowhere. Anyways, so we hunted antelope for 3 days. Brian had to go back. And then we had, I had the first season archery tag.
Yeah, you had
and
first.
Then Eric had the second. So my hunt was like the 1st through the 14th, and his was like the 15th through the 25th. 24th something. Anyway, so we hunted my hunt like literally 14 days when I killed a bull the 14th day. And we had all these ups and downs, just like a hunt should be.
Right.
The antelope hunt went great. We both killed nice antelope. But then the elk hunt was long, and it was 14 days of hard hunting, like archery elk hunting. I killed my bull. We were super grateful for that. We had one day that we went back to town, cleaned up, and then Eric's hunt started the next day. Eric somehow, some way, and like the whole time I have a wife and 3 kids, right? Like, so being away for 20 days is rough.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I was getting pressure. And my wife, I just want to say, is awesome.
Yeah.
She loves, I got a text from her last night. I'm going to get emotional, but she said, just want to let you know, honey, like you've conquered your dreams or something. You're down there doing this for like, anyway, it was like a really cool thing, right? Anyway, she's awesome. But I was still getting pressure to like come home. She missed me. My kids missed me.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then Eric's first day kills a great bull. First day. I just hunted for 14 days, right? Yeah. I'm like, well, damn, that was easy. And, you know, like, I don't know, like, going back, I don't know why, like, what makes me so emotional about the hunting and, like, the outdoors. And, like, I always think I, like, relay it back to me, like, me growing up as a kid with my dad hunting. But we had this really good conversation the last day, packing his bull out. And we were talking about our dads, right? Mm-hmm. And we're out in the middle of nowhere, like, we're being badasses, right?
Yeah, right,
you know,
right.
We're miles away from the truck. We had the horn hunter packs, like, loaded with, like, 90 pounds of elk meat a piece, the head. Like, we're like, and we just started talking about, like, hey, man, like, we're, like, bouncing ideas about, like, you know, next year we should take our dads because we owe it to them. And, dude, out of nowhere, like, me and Eric just broke down and just, like, started crying, like, for what, a half an hour
and we didn't stop. We kept hiking.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're like trying to hike in front of the other so they couldn't see us crying. But it was just like this emotional thing that like hit me that like the world is a great place, and like I was lucky to grow up with the family I did. I'm lucky to like associate myself with the people I do. Like I'm super lucky to be doing what I do, and I love it. And it just was like this overwhelming thing. And like from there, I took all this stuff like away from it. Like, dude, never give like what you do is so important, but never give it up for granted. Like what you're doing is very inspiring to other people, because like people tell us all the time, like they feel the same thing we do. And like I don't know, like there's been some more important things that have gone on with Hush. But like for me, like that's like something that sticks out on my mind was this whole trip. Like it was pretty insane. We went through like, you know, just the gamut of what a hunt should be. The emotions, the
power of
like,
it all, and
the ups and downs. And like just leaving that hunt, I was just like a better person because of it.
That's a cool story.
It was insane, man. It's hard to explain. I mean, I just remember walking out. There was the most beautiful landscape, you know. The sky, the grass, for as far as your eyeballs can see, was just beautiful. Not one structure in this view. And we had talked about, like, dude, we're so lucky. I mean, look at what we're doing, you know. Look at what we did these last 20 days, and our dads got brought up, and yeah, man, everything just exploded out of my face with tears, and it was just, I just soaked in so many positive things, like, you know, as I was just sobbing, hiking out, like thinking of family, friends, the people I'm surrounded by, what we're doing. That was probably the most memorable Hush moment. And that's why when that movie premiere came out and I had to do some introduction and talk about it, I just cried again, because those emotions came back. As we edited that movie, we're in a hotel similar to this, you know, lights off, studio, and Casey edited my hunt. And he plays it for me. So it was the first time I got to see my hunt edited by Casey, who filmed it. I couldn't watch it without crying. Dude, It was insane. Like, you know, it brings back all those emotions. And that was crazy, because that's what we call the Hush life, you know. That movie to me is the Hush life. I mean, it doesn't have any fishing in it, but it shows what it is like to go out with your buddies, make memories, hunt, and just enjoy nature.
Those experiences.
Enjoy it.
I want to circle it back, and like this doesn't have to be the end of the podcast, but it would be a really good like segue. But like you were talking about, like you tell everybody to get a camera and like film this stuff. Like one of the coolest things to me is seeing old hunting photos, stills, right? of like your dad and his grandpa,
Totally,
like black and whites. Like, dude, I eat that stuff up. There was a magazine that used to roll them in the back of. They would have like 5 or 6, and I'd be like, dude, that looked like a great day for that
Glory
family.
days.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm with you. Like, if you guys are thinking that you want to, like, film your hunts or, like, you've had that idea before, do it. Do it. Because at the end of the day, if the only thing that we ever take away from Hush, which I hope is a lot more, is that one day my kids won't have just old photos, but they'll have old videos of what Grandpa was passionate about. You know what? Dad was passionate about, dude. Like that is worth like the $300 you can spend on a great camera. Like no doubt about it. It's the memories that are made, and being able to relive those is so huge for us.
Be able to influence your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and so on because of the body of work that you've created is pretty powerful. One of the things that what I like about your story. Is what you were saying about Eric about the gratitude. I think that's one thing I really like. Back to the humility thing. I really like what you guys have done because, you back to the motives for why you're doing it and all that. There's just a certain amount of humility. I don't think you can have a lot of pride when you're filled with gratitude. Yeah. They kind of cancel each other out, right? I agree. When you got all this gratitude in your heart for, man, I'm so fortunate to be here, and I'm so that's humility, right? They're together, and I have this film that I made that I haven't released that I should release, but is kind of it's my wife got cancer, and she went through the cancer. And I just did a short little film kind of about some of it. And at the time, I didn't ever plan on, I didn't even have Gritty Bowmen. Like, I was thinking about it, and I had put some film together, but I was just filming stuff. Like, I filmed every year for 10 years, just with the Sony cam and stuff like that. So I filmed all this stuff, and then later I went back and I filmed a lot of her in the hospital and things like that, and personal moments that I have. And one of the things that I experienced a lot of anger and a lot of resentment and a lot of, I guess, pride at the time. And there was at some point where that shifted over time, and it wasn't easy, into just gratitude for, it was like as soon as I embraced this whole attitude of being grateful for the time we've had together, and for, I wouldn't go back and change it, and I acknowledge that, and how awesome my life is, and how awesome my kids are, and her, and everything else. All of a sudden, all that other stuff kind of melted away. And I really think gratitude is a powerful thing, and for you guys to go out there and be in the wilderness and experience that is huge, and it speaks a lot to your character and your personalities and what Hush is about. I get it. Because I sit there and, you look at some of your guys' video, and I'm like, this is not cinematic monster powerhouse stuff. Yet it connects with people.
Yeah.
And it's because of, I think, for those reasons where it's real, and it's about stuff that really matters. And people feel that, they don't, they're not in it for, it's not for glitz and glam, or sheer entertainment. It's for real stuff.
Well, man, we love hearing that. Like, no doubt about it. Like, we love hearing that, like, from people that watch. Like, dude, we can make more polished videos. Yeah, and we have, and we do, and we still enjoy doing that. But like, I think the things that are the most powerful are just the raw stuff.
Yeah, Anthony called me my hunting buddy for years, and he's like, dude, did you watch that live hunt with Hush? I got sucked in, dude. Like, every day I was checking my phone. I was like, come on, guys.
That was a game changer, that semi-live hunt. That was really, a lot of work.
Yeah. He loved it, man. He was in it, and every day. And he's not someone I can ever get to watch anything I produce.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what we were saying. Like, it captured the hunting audience because hunters know how a general season deer hunt goes with a rifle.
Well, I think a lot of them are stuck in the office. Yeah. They want to get out, and they're like, dang,
that's a good timing.
I hear that a lot.
1st of November, most general seasons are over. But at the same time, like, it really opens the eyes to the non-hunters, and they're like,
the struggle.
Wow, you guys work your butts off, and you go through a lot of crappy things that most people give up on, and you guys, ended up killing 2 out of 3 deer, and you're gonna feed your family, and that's what we love, opening eyes, I mean, that was just a risk. I wouldn't even say a risk. It's not a risk. That was just an idea we had. We should do
hey,
this.
wouldn't it be cool?
And that's a great thing about YouTube is
On the drive over.
Yeah. We run off the cuff, dude. Brian, try it. What do you always say? It's
That's
like
like
trying to
herding
herd
cats.
cats.
Yeah, we're herding cats.
I'm the one of the 3 that
We're a liability.
yeah.
Brian's the one that puts all the PowerPoints together, all the sponsor
Spreadsheets,
stuff. Because me and Eric are just
whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a great thing about YouTube is and it goes back to people filming your hunts. Dude, I use YouTube. It's our job and stuff, but at the same time,
It's your journal.
I use it as
It's like your diary.
Yeah, like a photo album, right?
Yeah.
Like no one makes photo albums. We have video albums that are on the internet.
Yeah.
Like
get
if
to
no
watch
one
'em.
ever watches your stuff, your hunting stuff, your family will always watch it. Right?
Totally.
5 years down the road, the YouTube world's still going to be around, I'm sure, and you're going to be like, oh, little Johnny, remember when you were 2 and you did this? I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, watch this video. And they'll be like, oh, that's cool. You filmed that, Dad. I think,
Yeah. How was it a game changer?
That semi-live hunt just, man, like you said, it sucked people in, right? It gave them that, man, what's going to happen tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
But it just, it caught a lot of people's attention because it was different. So the hunting industry is cookie cutter. The main outlet for hunting entertainment has always been TV, cable television.
DVDs.
And DVDs. And,
when are they produced?
A year after.
A year later.
Yeah, a year
right?
later.
So
this
it was
happened
something
last year.
that,
You knew it.
I'm not going to say it's something that's never been done
Yeah.
in the hunting industry.
Right.
But in a sense, it was.
Yeah.
It was, we would go out and hunt all day. So we were always a day ahead, right?
Yeah.
So we filmed our travels down. And
We
so,
had multiple cameras, we were all carrying a camera.
yeah. And so it was as live as you really could make a hunt,
Totally.
so it made people feel like I was talking about, they're there with you.
Yep.
Right. So it's like your buddy Anthony, it was 5 we told everyone, promised them 5 o'clock every day there'd be a new video. And sometimes it'd go to 7 because the hotel internet or whatever.
Yeah, we'd be on the mountain and not even know if it launched or not.
Yeah, because we'd schedule, on YouTube, you can schedule a video to go live or whatever. But it just made people feel like, what happened today?
Right. No, it's very
Did they
cool.
kill that buck?
Snyder is pretty good at social media. He's good with Facebook and Instagram and sharing. And as soon as something happens or whenever he's posting stuff about the trip while we're on the trip, making that extra effort to tell people
'em updated.
right now what's going on. I tend to be like, well, 2 weeks after we get back, we can just show them everything.
Yeah.
And he's way more interactive and much more interested in getting that message out right away. And I've realized over time that, well, yeah, now I understand because I'm sitting on the other end when he goes somewhere, and I'm like, where?
What's up?
Did you get to go? Where is it?
How'd it end? Yeah.
And I get to follow him.
Yeah.
And I follow him more, and so then so his shoe's been on the other foot. I see it now, and I'm more active. But it does kind of.
I have to say,
It's hard work.
No,
now
it
I
is hard
look
work,
back
'cause
at it, the reason I feel like we had this idea, I'm going to give props where props are due, is goes back to making stuff that you would be interested in. 2 years ago, a guy named Jason Matzinger, if you know him.
Yeah. Into high country.
Yeah, he produces some of the best stuff, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
super
on
good
the
dude.
podcast.
But he did just this Facebook post, and we've talked about this a lot. He was doing a spring bear hunt
Yep, I remember
in
that.
Montana. You remember this?
Mhm.
And every day, he would post about
the
his
update,
hunt.
yeah.
And every day, I found myself going to Facebook to see if Jason
that same
had
bear.
killed that bear.
Yep.
Yeah.
And dude, and in my head, I was like, dude, this is cool. I'm anticipating this other dude's hunt in Montana, right? And so, I don't think I thought about Jason when we thought about this idea, but now I look at it, I'm like, Jason's actually the first guy that ever did that on Facebook, not just pictures,
Were you guys on Bow Site back when they were doing live hunts on Bow Site and
Yeah, I
on the
saw some of
forums?
that.
And
Yeah.
especially the whitetail hunters. They were in their tree stand filming and then uploading to the forum like their live hunt, and you just pick any live hunt and there'd be like 8 or 9 going at the same time. I'm in the office wishing I was out hunting, and I check in and there's a buck under his stand, and I'm like, is he gonna get it? You know, and it's like, oh man, I didn't. Yeah. And it's just, I was totally living vicariously through them, and it sure made the day at the office a lot more fun.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was interesting too, that Colorado hunt. We got the most random demographics of feedback too, from all types of ages and backgrounds, men, women, older, younger. Like, it didn't matter. A lot of different people got interested in it. And they were interested in even the stuff that we thought was pretty mundane, sitting around a fire midday.
Eating crackers.
Because it was 7 degrees outside,
But they can connect with that.
Yeah,
and that's
for
what they like, because they've been there.
Yeah.
Or if they hadn't been there, they were like, oh, that's what they do during the day, It's not about, like, shooting at animals all day. They have a fire.
Yeah.
Eric is taking a nap.
Yeah. What?
I'm famous for that.
What do you think? What are your guys'? Like, you were talking about not really watching much hunting TV, But who are the folks that are out there that you do like to follow? Like, who are some of your favorite personalities or hunters and stuff that you really enjoy following?
Honestly, like, for me, like, there's a channel on YouTube that is like, I don't ever hear anybody talking about them, but they do get a lot of views, and their stuff is super interesting to me. They're Northern Idaho guys stuck in the rut.
Yeah.
Jason, Randy Newberg.
Matt Singer.
Randy Newberg.
Born and raised outdoors. Those
Born
guys
and raised outdoors.
are great people, and they make really good content.
They're awesome.
They are, man. Like, those guys are like salt of the earth, know. Besides that, dude, I just don't get flooded with like other people's stuff. Trying to think, maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but like for me, like, I constantly stay up on their stuff.
Eric?
I've got a few like local like friends. There's Sean Morgan. He's on Instagram. Really great archery hunter. And when it comes hunting season, archery season, I'm refresh. I love to follow his stories because he'll kind of build it up before the hunt, and he'll pick out a specific buck. So that captures me because I want to see if he got it,
Right.
So there's him. There's my friend Devin, who was in a similar situation where he was hunting one particular buck. So I was always trying to find out, did he get it?
Yeah.
But honestly, when it comes to like the YouTube platform, there's not many that are in the hunting industry that I follow. But I try to surround myself and submerge myself into this YouTube world. Yeah. So I watch a lot of other channels that have nothing to do with hunting. There could be fitness people.
Yeah.
Just daily family vloggers that I try to get inspiration for our channel and our videos.
Yep.
And like I said, they have nothing to do with hunting. So I watch their videos and I see how they cut and edit, and I'm like, okay, their channel's doing great, and I try to just analyze it on why.
Yeah.
This channel's great. This channel's great. He's getting lots of subscribers. What's in common? And when I see something in common, I'm like, that inspires me to, use those techniques into our videos.
Yeah, I do the same. Like, there's certain filmmakers that I really tune into, and I try to copy or, use their stuff. Plus, more than that, they just inspire me.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
I'd say... obviously Cody and those guys in Trent for Born and Raised for sure. Randy has been a good mentor for us. When you're a new brand that's different, digital, YouTube, trying to cut your teeth in the outdoor industry, there's a lot to navigate through.
Yeah,
because most companies just aren't still there yet in the outdoor space with really fully embracing YouTube. It's changed in the last year, but overwhelmingly. It's been a challenge. So Randy's just been a super good mentor for us. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's been very helpful and just kind of helping us navigate on how to get in with certain companies and get some partners behind us. So he's been great. I love his platform on public land hunting and what he stands for. And so those are a couple of people that inspire me for sure.
Nice.
What about you?
I would say Randy Newberg is big. He's been influential. I listen to a lot of podcasts. a lot that aren't hunting related, and those have been hugely influential. But hunting related, I would say I was a big fan of Meat Eater, the TV show, for a long time, and then I read Stephen Ranella's books, and I really enjoyed them. I liked his intellectual approach and kind of his. I liked how I just brought food into the whole equation and all of that kind of stuff, and really changed the non-hunters' perception of hunters.
Yeah, I maybe it's the wrong thing to say, but we always said like he did a really good job with like the REI crowd, right? People that enjoy the woods.
It's a diverse audience, for
yeah,
sure.
like fishermen, fly fishermen, like mountain bikers. Like he really captured that audience really well.
Yep. Born and Raised Outdoors has been a huge influence on my filmmaking and and the whole thing. People I follow regularly, I like Tim and Remy on Solo Hunter.
For sure, man. Funny story, actually. Like, I reached out. Tim was the very first person I ever reached out to about doing hunting on YouTube because he was doing it.
Yeah.
He had his TV show. This was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy. Somehow I came across. I used to watch hunting videos all the time on YouTube, and I came across this guy. And I'm like, oh, this guy's committed to YouTube. I didn't even know he had a hunting show on TV. I was like, this guy's committed. Like, I commented, I had the Casey Lavere channel, and I was like, oh, he's going to, like, see that I commented because I had, like, 100,000 followers or something. Like, oh, yeah, this guy's cool. But it was like, and I've just talked to him, like, over the last 6 years, and I should have said those guys because some of the best stuff on YouTube comes from Remy and Tim, without a doubt.
Yeah. So those guys have been influential. The Joe Rogan podcast where he interviews like Jim Shockey.
Yeah.
Those are pivotal podcasts for me because, particularly that particular episode, because I always am looking for ways to communicate clearly to the non-hunting audience why hunting is important and how it matters. And so that particular show, Jim Shockey just nailed it on so many levels in so many ways and just all these different explanations for hunting and just an ambassador, a true ambassador for hunting. And so that one was big.
Yeah.
And then Shane Mahoney on Randy Newberg's podcast a couple of times, especially the first one. It just resonated with me a lot. And again, those are, I really want to be involved in getting non-hunters to look at hunting in the way I see it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And those people and the way that they talk about it, and Joe Rogan's on the forefront of that as well, just because of his audience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That I tend to listen to that a lot because I want to be able to use what I learned there and how they phrase their arguments or how they explain where they're coming from in a way that really makes it easier for me to, that I see things in a different light now because of that new information.
Yeah.
So that's those are just some of the ones that have influenced me.
Right on. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good people making great content, without a doubt.
Oh, what's really neat about this whole thing, and we could sum it up here, is there are no barriers to entry now. Anybody, almost every one of us has a camera on our phones. I mean, in the U.S., with this little tool, you can film so much,
dude.
And the world is your oyster. You can put anything you want out there. When I started the podcast, it was like this. I realized. In fact, I had people coming to me and saying, "Hey, come in on our network, do this network or do that network," and I'm like, "I'm be my own network, right? Like I got YouTube, right?" And so, it was powerful to me in my mind to be able to say, you know what, I can put my own creativity, my own thoughts, my own things together, and I can put them on YouTube. I can put them on iTunes. That's free, right? I can put them on Podbean, Stitcher, you name it, Google. I can put all of my ideas and my thoughts and my creativity all out there, and no one can stop me. No one will stop me.
Nope.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's
Huge.
so huge.
And you look at in the past, like let's say 30 years ago, I needed some money. I needed some connections. It was kind of hard to get out there. Okay, which network TV show?
Not even 30 years ago. I mean, that's not even
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I looked
there were
in-
barriers that just, which I think is one of the reasons that hunting TV just stopped working for me. And I think for a lot of hunters was I don't know, became something that these network people and these
Controls.
TV people
Yeah.
thought was what people wanted. But when you remove that and now people can produce their own grassroots content that maybe have a different passion or a different point of view.
Without a doubt.
The tides are turning. There's a sweet channel you should follow. It's called Think with Google, but they just provide a just tremendous amount of statistics towards YouTube specifically, obviously. But in 2015, 18 to 49-year-olds, males in particular, watch TV 4% less, and they watch YouTube 74% more in 1 year.
That's crazy.
I mean, the tides are turning. All of the statistics that I research and find, whether it's through Yahoo advertising page or Think with Google, are supporting what we're doing. You know, and it's powerful. And I mean, Casey gets to see this in his on his other channel. But the mainstream American companies are fully bought into YouTube and the digital marketing campaigns.
Yeah,
hunting isn't there yet, but it's getting there. And that's what's so exciting for us because of that phone you just pulled out.
Yeah.
Right? That phone has literally changed the way people market and people get content out. And that's so exciting because we can get our content to people anywhere, anytime, any place.
Go to an airport and, like, observe people, right? Airports still have lines of TV. You know, and it could be something breaking on TV. Just watch people, what they do. They're on their phones, their tablets, or their laptops. Mm-hmm. But it goes back to, like, what you were saying is allowing people to create grassroots stuff. And it's like, what's important to us? Creating stuff that's exciting to us, right?
Yeah.
Why should you have to create something that somebody else tells you is good or not good? Let the audience decide that.
Right. That's what I love about it, dude. The entrepreneur, the capitalist in me is like,
I don't want these TV execs saying your stuff is crap. Like, they're not the guys that are going to watch my stuff anyways.
Yeah.
Casey told me this a long time ago, and it stuck with me because, and I can't remember exactly how he said it, but the idea was that the networks choose the stars. Hollywood chooses the actors, the actresses. They audition, they get the role, they choose
They're the gatekeepers.
They're the gatekeepers.
Right. Exactly.
But with these social media platforms now, the public, the people choose
the
who's
consumers.
popular. The
Awesome.
The
It's
consumers,
so awesome.
right?
Who's the popular, the influencer, celebrity, whatever you want to call it, they choose.
And let's face it, there's been a chokehold on the hunting industry in terms of what
It's been
those
monopolized.
influencers will let be published.
Yeah.
You know, on those big platforms, right? No blood can be shown.
Yep.
You know, all these different rules.
Or you must have certain kill shots.
Yeah, we've talked to guys that create TV stuff, and he had too many videos, too many like shows lined up that he didn't kill something, and they're like, you have to have a kill shot.
Yeah. See, and so all of that stuff, I think, has contributed to people's lack of understanding. I mean, this bizarre idea that most of us go out and trophy hunt and kill stuff and leave it there. Like,
for example, I mean, perfect example of my own. I grew up watching hunts on TV, and I thought whitetail hunting was so stupid and it was so easy. All they did is climb a tree and shoot a big buck.
right.
Same with turkey hunting.
Same with turkey hunting. It's because that's what you saw on TV, right? They hardly showed any story, how they got there, what city, you know, they didn't know where they were. And so that's all you saw, so that's all you thought it was. So maybe that's why a lot of non-hunters thought you just climb in a tree or go out in a truck and shoot
Or
something.
even, like, in the hunting industry, that's like a lot of Western hunters, I know I did, you'd watch a cool, you know, show about an elk hunt because you're related to that, and then a whitetail hunt would come on, and you'd be like, garbage. They're just going to sit and shoot bucks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just non-hunters, it's hunters like us.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It made me I thought whitetails were dumb. You know, I
Yeah.
thought whitetail hunting was easy.
Well, that's where I think, you know, now because of this this whole the access that every hunter has. That's why I'm like, everybody grab your cameras, man. Go out and tell your story, because I think that will have a profound influence on how people perceive and see hunting. Because then they start to go, oh, my buddy down the road, he's a hunter. And he's one of the coolest guys I've ever met, and his family's cool, and they eat the meat, and you open that up. And I'm out of the Portland metropolitan area, and I've seen people, that just don't get it. Once they realize that who I am and what I'm about, or they already know me and they find out I'm a hunter, it's like, wait a minute, these two things don't match, because I have this idea of what a hunter is and you're not that idea. Wait a minute. And then it causes them to think about it. But if I don't create moving and interesting content or content that is that can be persuasive like that, and it doesn't have to be perfect either. Like, if you don't produce it at all, nothing's going to happen. But the better I can get at it, of course, the more influence I'm going to have. But I'm like, everybody do it. Like, there's so much influence from this level of where most of us come from.
Yeah.
Where we can influence in all our communities, which has a big influence overall.
It's the future of hunting.
Yeah,
it does. It really hit me when we did a short one-take video about Colorado was trying to ban hunting with hounds. And we put up this video, and I remember our message was just trying to explain to the public what was going on in Colorado at the time. And I was like, for us, was it like, it's not a very entertaining, video. But I remember reading comments like, guys, I'm so glad you posted this. Like, we look to you for this type of information, like, you have such a big voice now that you have this big following. Like, it's almost like we should let, the public and the followers know what's going on.
I feel like there's a responsibility that comes with it.
There is.
Like, a lot. I'm a big fan of backcountry hunters and anglers for the whole public land thing.
You've done an awesome job too, shedding light on the public land situation. It's hard not to get
burnt over it. Like, I get so ticked off. Like, I can't help it.
It's like one of those subjects that like makes so much sense in your head, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I get that way all the time. It's just like, this is so easy to understand. But at the same time, like, you have all these people that just, I'm not like in a bag like mainstream media, like, and how like, TV shows, like news shows or whatever. But like, dude, the way like information is like given to people, unless you like dive into like the real logistics of a lot of things that are going on, dude, you can be persuaded in so many different ways.
Well, that's why I like podcasting, because what people get out of an hour-long conversation is more education than they get from a 2-minute soundbite or a newsreel or something.
Yeah.
And this whole like public land issue can be very complicated. And at face value, I'm sitting there, give it to take it from the feds, man, they suck. Give it to the states, and you're just like that. Down with the government. They got too much control already, blah, 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 right? Yeah. And you start, but then it's more complicated than that. And in a long conversation, you can get to the heart of it and really look at it more deeply, and people can understand it. And all I'm there for mostly is I just want to give the information.
The correct information.
The correct information. Right?
Yeah.
And then you decide.
That whole issue is just painful to walk through too, because I feel like as hunters, a lot of us were raised probably in a more maybe leaning right, conservative upbringing, right? And this public land situation is really interesting when you start digging into who's helping and hurting, right? And so we get kind of like,
it's like Randy's.
What do you do?
Right? The Democrats want to take our guns away, and the Republicans want to take our lands away. So it's like, which one do you vote for?
Yeah,
but like, there's been like, I think the flaw is like, there's been so many like, there's a lot of people that have just stayed on one side for so long, and they don't care really what the issues are. They just know they're Republican or Democrat, right? Yeah. And the perfect story for this is we were on a bear hunt in a bear camp last year, and you could tell this guy, he's a super nice guy. He was from Colorado, but he was like staunch Republican, and this was like when all this information was coming out about like, we can't, we don't want to give up the public lands back to the government or back to the states because we know like the history of what happens. But this guy, just like, we were at dinner, remember? And he was just like, I think the best thing we need to do right now as hunters is give the land back to the states, the governments don't need to be running it. And I'm like, dude, like everything I've read the last like month is like from guys like Randy Newberg and Steve Ranella and like backcountry hunters, like in First Light, like they're like, no, this is why this is a bad idea. And I'm like, have you ever like researched that more than just the fact that that's what Republicans are saying?
Right.
And he's like, no. I'm like, that is probably the worst thing that can happen right now. And
I like what Randy says, where he says, I'm not one party or the other.
Right.
I'm like the public land party.
Yeah,
I find that to be consistent with a lot of hunters, to be honest, is kind of just in that middle ground. Like I want to keep our access. What's amazing to me is so many people that love to utilize the public lands, whether it be angling or hunting or whatever, that either haven't taken the time to learn about it, or like Casey mentioned, have just fallen into a bucket of one side or the other to make an opinion.
it's coming from this party. It got to be right.
That's right.
You know,
Oh, there's so much hatred and stuff toward.
there's
just
so much
other
emotion
groups.
that like
Yeah.
comes up when you talk about politics and like.
I would just like to see Randy's done a phenomenal job, as well as other companies like First Light have been a huge supporter of it. Backcountry hunters and anglers, obviously. Randy and I have talked about this some, but man, I'd really like to see some of these other activity groups step up to the plate. Right? Anglers are kind of there here and there a little bit, but they could have a bigger presence. What about all the hikers? What about the backcountry skiers? Man, if we could all band together from these different influences,
Which we should be doing.
Right?
I was talking to Ty Stubblefield though the other day, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I'll do it anyway. He's talking about how many people follow backcountry hunters and anglers on Facebook. Tons of people follow it, but their membership numbers are completely different than those numbers. So these people kind of are like, yeah, I'm on the public land side, and I'm totally behind you, but then they're not contributing as a member and getting involved. It's like if we could just get those people to actually get more engaged, I guess it would be powerful.
Yeah.
It's getting late, so we should wrap this up.
We got to be up in 3 hours?
Totally.
You guys want to just hike up to the hill
I'm
right
just going to
now?
fall asleep right now.
Grab
You
your
guys wake
bow.
me up when the tram leaves.
I'm so glad you guys came on the podcast.
Dude,
I
thanks
really
for having
appreciate
us.
it.
Thanks so
man.
much.
Is there anything you guys want people to check out?
I just want to say, we watch you and follow you very closely. I didn't mention you when we were talking about people that we really look up to, and you're definitely one of them. You took this podcast thing by storm, man, and you do a great job. You really do. Check out our channel if you want. It's Hushin on YouTube. Go watch some of our videos. You might like them, you might not, but
check them out.
Check them out.
Absolutely. What is something that you think? What is some of your favorite stuff you want someone to watch?
I would look at the semi-live deer hunt in Colorado
That
we
one
did
was
last
cool.
November. I would look at
Hush Life the movie.
Hush Life the movie.
90 minutes. This is turn the lights
Sit
off,
down,
get it on the smart
popcorn.
TV,
Yeah, get the
popcorn.
kids,
And this is family friendly. This is something
It's
you
a
want to
movie.
sit and watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
Don't fast forward. YouTube, a lot of things that are like these viral videos, you just want to fast forward to the kill shot or whatever. Watch this.
Just take it in.
Sit down
It's
and
all-
enjoy
yeah,
it.
it's
Because
all
everyone who
entertainment.
does loves it.
Yeah,
Cool.
Check those out, and you'll get lost. I always call it that weird space in YouTube.
Yeah.
You'll start watching Hushin videos, and before you
Binge
know
watching.
it, you watch prison documentaries. That's where I always end up. So.
Totally.
But keep-
YouTube is like that. It's bad, man.
Yeah,
It's
but it's great. It's
Yeah.
you learn a lot.
Yeah.
I know so much about prison and drugs because I watch so many documentaries about them.
I tend to know about African lions. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Been there, dude. All the different animals that fight each other.
You guys know,
Totally.
you guys know what a
Street
narwhal
fights.
is?
you probably find
I watched
out
a
on
video
YouTube.
of whales eating narwhals the other day. It was awesome. Anyways, yeah, check it out.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it was great, man. Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you,
That was
man.
fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yes, definitely. Stay gritty.
Yeah,
Stay gritty.
if you're a bowman, stay gritty.
Okay, Gritty friends, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word Gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobson is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. If you haven't heard, we're doing a huge gear giveaway to try and grow and expand the Gritty community on Facebook and Instagram. I asked a bunch of friends to pitch in on this gear giveaway, and they all came through with some awesome stuff. Our friends at Kafaru, Rockslide, First Light, Phelps Game Calls, One Shot Gear, Mountain Ops, Triple X Archery, Blacktail Outdoors, and Is It September Yet are pitching in some sweet gear for the giveaway. We'll announce all the details in the next few weeks. All you have to do to be entered to win is like our Gritty Bowmen Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.